Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Leon, and for the first time we got Matt Hunter, who's the editor of the Boxing Voice website. Hi guys. Obviously Leon, always here mostly in week out, but obviously Matt, first time you're having you on. Welcome to the show. Hope you're in good health. Just for people that don't know about you, give your social media and just give a little bit about yourself.
You can find me at Mixed Combat News on Twitter, and obviously, like you said, Cam, I am the editor of the Boxing Voice. I'm also the co-producer and co-host of our podcast. I also have my own podcast for MMA called Mixed Combat Radio, which you can find on Patreon, SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, etc. And yeah, I love combat sports, and I know Leon told me when he invited me on the show, I'm not allowed to talk about like any MMA, so I'm just gonna talk boxing. Don't worry, no Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather shit up in here. But we had a ton of good fights, so I'm excited to talk about it with you guys because personally, and I've said this to Leon, I've said to Naota and others on this show, this is my favorite boxing podcast personally. It's one that I always look forward to listen to, and I always wish there was more episodes. So first off, thank you for having me on. I can't wait to talk boxing.
No, you're welcome, and I really appreciate your kind words, man. It's nice, we do it every week, and to get people that enjoy it, and, it helps a lot of people get through their day. A lot of people do night shifts, and just to kind of listen to us talk nonsense, obviously, it helps them. So, it's a pleasure of ours to do it. But quickly, Matt, you said you can't talk MMA on this show, and really you can't, but if Dan and Kimo ever decide to do a third episode of Mystic Men, I'm sure they're happy to have you on their show.
That'd be awesome. I would love to.
All right. Quickly, before we start the show, our homie Naota is a bit under the weather, so we just want to wish him a speedy recovery and hope he gets well soon. And secondly, I mentioned it at the end of last week's show, my brother Scorsese's got his EP launched today. People pre-ordered it, most of them got it today, or the stuff's in the post, so definitely go out and support. It's only a couple pounds for the CD. There's caps and tees, there's bundle packages, so definitely go on to the website scores.co.uk, cop that. Obviously, as I said last week as well, it's a birthday, so if you're on social media, go and wish him a happy birthday. He's a really good dude. Alright fellas, let's start on the boxing. Just talking off air, what we, all three of us, mainly watched and really enjoyed was the FS1 card, I think. Was it PBC on FS1, Matt? I think it was, wasn't it?
No, it was on Fox, and then the Caleb Plant two-fight card was on FS1 after the Deontay Wilder fight.
My bad. So, let's talk about the Wilder fight, Matt. Quickly start with that. Your thoughts on the fight overall?
Obviously, Washington was winning for probably every round. I didn't have a round for Wilder up until the knockout. Again, Wilder wasn't doing much. His jab was non-existent. His footwork was still atrocious. His balance seemed off. He wasn't really throwing the right hand with any sort of... He wasn't throwing at all, mainly. And Gerald Washington was mainly just walking him down, being the bigger man in the ring, throwing a jab, landing it. But he was also not doing much. And then once Wilder landed any sort of power with his right hand or landed anything, Washington seemed hurt. He jumped on him, and we all saw the GIF that's all over the internet of Wilder going windmill with no technique. I mean, I throw better shots than that. Let's be real. Like, that was just atrocious. And the ref called it. Washington did stumble to the ropes afterward. He did seem hurt, but it was an early stoppage, to say the least, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, yesterday I was walking about, and Leon, has Wilder got worse over time, or were we a bit kind of distracted and fooled by initially his long knockout run and then the half-decent performance against Jermaine Stavern?
It looks like he's gone backwards, doesn't it? But, I mean, were we ever really that impressed in the first place? We all knew he could... I mean, for a long period, I questioned his punching power, but I think I think that goes without saying now. But I tell you what, he definitely is. He's one of the worst finishers. Like, he'll hit someone with a good shot to hurt them, and then he loses all kind of poise, doesn't he? And then he starts windmilling. I mean, I think someone put up on Twitter the video of him. This isn't the first time he's done that. Numerous times he's had a guy hurt and just not known how to finish it, or finished him, but in just such a wild way that if he was fighting anyone who could counterpunch, he'd just be, even if you were hurt, I mean, he's not landing clean, is he? You could definitely, he's there to be hit when he goes nuts like that. But yeah, I don't think I think he's exactly what he has been for the last 3 or 4 years, and no improvement, no real fall off.
I don't understand his tactic at first, because he wasn't showing the right hand at all. Maybe, Mark Breland just said, take it easy the first rounds, just get the rounds under your belt, because he's been off for a while after his injury, so he wasn't showing the right hand at all. And yeah, his technique is terrible, his footwork's really poor, and I don't know.
But then in that Stavern fight, a lot of us, I mean, I picked Stavern and numerous others, but no one saw him doing that, and then he hasn't done it again.
Yep. Well, you might do it again against Stavern, because apparently he's next, so the rematch no one really wanted is happening. I
would rather that if we're going to go off last night, he might as well fight Breazeale then.
I'd rather fight Ugonoh, Breazeale's opponent. Ugonoh?
Oh, we'll come to him. Yeah. Exactly. He beat him.
That was a fun fight, but
I don't know. I'm still shocked. We'll come to this, but I still don't see how Breazeale won that fight. I watched it a couple of times today, but we'll come to that.
Yeah, he shipped some shots, but Naota, even though he's ill, he still managed to make it on the show. What's happening, Nicky?
Hey, what's going on?
We hope you recovering well. Just to let you know, obviously Leon's on the show. We also got Matt from the Boxing Voices also on. So Naota, Wilder fight. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I thought Washington won damn near every round up until the knockout. I thought Wilder won that round right before. He managed to catch him. But yeah, like you were kind of hinting at when I first got on the line, honestly, I really just think that Wilder isn't the greatest at setting up unless he's got significant physical advantage over his opponent. Speaking to his size as well as his speed, I think if he has like every advantage over you, he's gonna look better. A big part of the reason why I think he looked as good as he did, especially against Stavern, is because Stavern, for lack of a better term, is a big stiff idiot. He's a guy that's a slow plotter who really doesn't know how to cut off the ring, and Wilder looks pretty brilliant against him. He's gonna look brilliant against guys that don't really know how to cut off the ring exceptionally well as well. When he fought Gerald Washington, I mean, I kind of called it the way that this fight went into it a couple weeks back when we first previewed it. I felt like Washington was bigger, he was stronger, and he was slicker than Wilder, and he was going to give him a lot of problems because of that. He knows how to take those little short steps, either backwards or to the side or both. And early on, he was doing that extremely well. Kind of just jabbing and taking that little side step like off at an angle. And Wilder wasn't really able to time that or catch that, especially not early on. It really wasn't until he started to sell out and really take some more risks and not really worry about what Washington was hitting him with before he was able to actually land his own stuff. Yeah, I mean, basically once he didn't care basically what Washington was hitting him with and it was going out of him and just kind of sold out is where he managed to get the knockout. He basically had to fight the fight like a puncher, like a Lucas Matisse essentially. Just come forward and just wing your shots and believe in your power basically. And really that's, I think, Wilder's best strength is the fact that he does have that hand speed and he does have that power. In terms of even if he's being outboxed, it doesn't necessarily matter everything that you've done up until that point. If he's going to land on you, he's going to hurt you extremely badly and he can finish you extremely fast, which is kind of the way it went. I did think that initially the ref stopped it a bit fast, but Washington was on such shaky legs, he was bound to go down again, and it was pretty much doubtful that he was going to survive because it seemed like once he was that badly hurt, he didn't have the survival instincts necessary to survive against a guy that was a similar height to him as he was when, for instance, he was hurt, or at least momentarily stunned against somebody like Amir Mansour, for instance, who I thought he handled a lot more handily and a lot more easily. But yeah, I mean, Wilder really, it's really going to depend on the opponent. It really depends on the opponent on how he's going to look. Certain guys, he's going to look like a bit more of a brilliant boxer than he normally is. I do think that he's improved a bit more on the inside. His last few fights than he's otherwise given credit for. He's able to, land some shorter shots on the inside and able to shorten them up so that he keeps his power. He doesn't necessarily lose it entirely. But against a truly good inside fighter, I think he'll still be at really bad risk. Somebody like Anthony Joshua would take complete advantage of Joshua's inside.
But I was going to say there's not that many good inside fighters in the heavyweight division, is there? Because Joshua wants you at mid range, Vlad wants you at long range, Parker's like mid range. I think to get to be able to utilize that, you might have taken quite a lot of punches to get there. To get on the inside.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily say quite a lot of punches, but you have to be willing to take the risk, and there is a significant risk of being able to do that. Just Andy because, Ruiz, like I said, because of the reach and the hand speed.
I think Andy Ruiz would give Wilder trouble. That's how unsure I am of Wilder and being pressured.
Well, I think Andy Ruiz would probably give everybody trouble because he's probably the best inside fighter outside of Anthony Joshua. Really, if you want to just look at his hand speed and combinations.
There's one thing I'm still very sure of. I'm sure Tyson Fury would have beaten Wilder. Well, I don't know if we ever see that fight, but I'd be very confident picking Fury in that fight.
Is there anyone you favor Wilder over in the top 5 or 10 at heavyweight?
But I think that division. I was saying to someone on Twitter, that division is so.
Well, Wilder is so the top 5 fighter.
Yes,
I mean,
so does he beat AJ?
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't be in the top 10, but I don't favor him against almost any of these top 10 guys. It's hard to see him.
Well, like who?
Top 5.
Joshua, Klitschko, Ortiz, Haye.
I think he beat Ortiz.
Really?
Ortiz isn't that great at cutting off the ring. He follows you around in a very plotting manner. And he actually needs distance as much as you need it. But I don't think he has as quick a hands as Wilder does.
I just think that Ortiz is just an overall better boxer than Wilder. I can see him just maybe.
I think Ortiz is a better technical boxer, but I don't think he matches up well against him.
Okay.
But it's still a close fight.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It's heavyweight. Let's be honest. Ortiz could land a shot that hurts Wilder. Wilder can land a shot that hurts all these guys.
Yeah.
Wilder does have power. Like you said, Leon, that's one thing we cannot deny is the power of Wilder and the fact that it could put out all these guys, but he could lose all 12 rounds up until that knockout punch. That's the thing.
Because that's the one thing I'd say about the heavyweight division. Just quick, sorry, Cam, quickly, is there isn't someone up there who's got a solid iron chin, is there? There's no one like a Holyfield who could take those licks. I think all of them have got suspect chins. Wilder, AJ, Vlad, we know he has one. Don't know what Parker might have the best one. Povetkin, drugs. I mean, who's got the solid? So they're all such close fights because no one's going to be able to take the shot.
Yeah. Just quickly on Stavern, when he fails a drug test because of some PED'd up ragu, who's going to replace him? Because we know Wilder never faces his initial opponent. His opponent will get popped and then he'll fight someone else. I think the Breazeale.
I'd say Breazeale.
What's this stuff that happened afterwards? Because I've only read it in one article where Breazeale saying
there's a video out, by the way, by TMZ. They actually have a full video of the altercation.
All right, I'm not seeing it. So have you seen it?
Yeah, I have seen it.
I saw. Well, I don't know if it's the same video that you saw, but I didn't think that was a full video of the altercation. It seemed like it kind of happened midway into it. Like the video started getting taken, as the ship.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say it caught the very beginning of it, but it was a pretty long video. If there was anything that from Dominic Breazeale's account, or even guys like Michael Montero went on Twitter and said some sources told him that his Breazeale's wife was getting choked and shit. There's nothing of that nature on the video. I didn't see any punches thrown on the video. To me, it looked like a shoving match, and a lot of people yelling. And that's what I thought it was beforehand too.
Yeah, so but supposedly, I guess Breazeale had some sort of altercation with Wilder's little brother in the crowd during Wilder's fight with Washington, and so then afterwards, like Deontay decided to go get some get back for his brother for whatever happened, and he went to go find Breazeale and confront him basically. And, yeah, some sort of shoving match ensued.
Wilder, Breazeale told his little brother that he was going to kill him, like that Breazeale was going to kill Wilder's little brother, and that's what set Wilder off, according to Wilder's Instagram page.
Like the people in the chat saying, it seems like some WWE drama just to hype up the fight, even though officially WBC is saying that Stavern is next. Just quickly on that rematch, if Stavern isn't dehydrated and he didn't eat any bad ragu, do you see the rematch being any different? Or
the dehydration thing is an excuse. That's a total excuse. He wasn't dehydrated. He had rhabdomyolysis because he sucks as a fighter. He has no stamina.
I don't know. He did look shit on that night, and I've seen him a lot better in the past, so it's difficult to say for me.
But it's in the past, isn't it? We haven't seen him be good for a long time.
Dehydration and rhabdomyolysis aren't too dissimilar. People, they say one for the other, but they're two completely different things. Rhabdomyolysis is something that's caused by just an overstrenuation of you being in there. He was overly tense. He went in there, and he got his ass kicked, and he's going to get his ass kicked again if they fight again. He's probably going to get knocked out much sooner than he did, than he looked like he was on his way to being before he decided to tackle Wilder. Just seems
like a wasted fight. You know, like a lot of Wilder's fights since he became champion, they're kind of wasted fights. He's not really fought anyone since he became champ.
Yeah, it's a waste of time, man. Well, Stavern was going to get his ass kicked by Povetkin, and I mean, it's not like he hasn't failed drug tests in his own past either. So it's not like he's on some moral high ground with regard to him and Povetkin either.
And this is a classic bait and switch. Like they're hanging Stavern 2 for all of us, and we all hate that fight so much that when they give us Dominic Breazeale instead, we will accept it, or not maybe we, but the fans will, because that's a better fight than Bermain Stavern 2.
That's a good point, actually.
Well, I mean, realistically speaking, outside of the very top fighters, I'd say Breazeale is pretty much like in the class right behind them. He's pretty much the solid B-level guy at heavyweight.
He's borderline top 15.
I'd put him solidly in there.
Yeah. All right. Anything else regarding Wilder or the heavyweight division? I'll take that as a no. All right. Let's move on to another heavyweight fight on the undercard that was fun as hell. Dominic Breazeale versus Ugonoh, man. I was talking about it last week that I never really knew about him. He was a Pole-based, fought often in New Zealand, but he was based in Las Vegas. And Leon, our homie Bill, gave me the insight.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
He was trained by Parker's trainer, so that makes sense why he's fought in New Zealand and why he lives in Vegas. But, never seen him before, but one of the funnest fights, especially heavyweight fights that I've seen in a while. A lot of back and forths, multiple knockdowns from both sides. Bit of a sketchy, maybe, ref waving it off, but really fun fight.
Oh, it was a fantastic fight. I thought, I don't know how to pronounce that guy's surname. This is not my strong suit, but the Kiwi,
Agono,
he looked real good, didn't he? Yeah. I didn't think I thought he was winning that fight quite comfortably until he got hurt. Early on.
I mean, that's just the thing, until he got hurt.
But then he got hurt again. But then he came back after being hurt the first time and was winning and started winning the fight again. That's and he dropped him. It was a fantastic fight.
Yeah, that's.
I can't remember the order of the drop. The drops. He got dropped first, and then Breazeale, was it?
Well,
yeah, he dropped Breazeale first,
but he didn't really get dropped. Did Breazeale actually go down?
Yeah, he went down
a bunch.
Yeah, he got caught with 2 shots and then kind of got fundled over where he was trying to hold on and he fell over, which is counted as a count, which is fair because the 2 right hands kind of hurt him. But no, I think Agono got dropped first. I think it was in the third. He went after Breazeale and he got caught, went down.
Yes, he caught coming in, yeah.
Yeah, he was smiling at the ref and he was okay.
The uppercut.
Yep. And then for the rest of that round, I thought he went on to win the round and he was hurting Breazeale, man. I think round 3 was one of those kind of contenders for round of the year just because of the knockdown and the shift in momentum.
Yeah, I mean, Breazeale was shipping shots, wasn't he?
Yeah, like that right hand, he couldn't do anything about it. He wasn't blocking it,
Nothing.
He wasn't slipping it, nothing.
But then he can obviously punch a bit. I mean, because he got to him in the end. But was that guy a little bit small for heavyweight? I was trying to work it out. Did he look like he could be a cruiserweight?
Breazeale's tall.
No. Yeah, it's Breazeale's just a giant.
Breazeale's tall. Okay.
Yeah, Ugonoh came in at like 230, man. So like he would have to cut a lot. He would have to cut a lot. Because I thought the same.
Breazeale's a big dude, then.
Yeah, I thought when I saw Cassie fight, I thought, if he took some weight off, took some muscle off, he should really be a cruiser because he's a bit small. But Ugonoh, I think he would have to just take too much weight off to go down to cruiser. And there's so many killers at cruiser as well.
You can see Ugonoh has like a fucking 8-pack, and the other guy is shredded at 230.
When you look at them together, you think like Ugonoh is like 6'1", 6'2", or nothing, but he's like 6'5". He's quite deceptive because Breazeale's so tall.
They list him at 6'5", but I don't think he's quite that tall. I think he's probably I think that's being a bit generous to him. He's probably 6'5" with Air Maxes on.
He's 6'5" in his heels.
Yeah. But Breazeale's 6'7", probably even a little bit taller than that. If anything, they're probably being deceptive about his height and underestimating it. But I mean, he's a full 260 in there too. So it just goes to show he's like a big bear in there. But yeah, he was able to kind of smother Ugonoh at times, and in spite of he's one of those guys that where you need to be either all the way on the outside or all the way on the inside for him to really catch you hard. He doesn't have like those mid-range shots, but he was able to catch Ugonoh like hell on the inside with some of those uppercuts and hooks, and also just kind of lean on him, use his body weight in order to just lean on him, tire him out a little bit, and just catch him clean with those shots. And otherwise, if he gets full extension on the shots, of course he still has power as well. I think really at mid-range is where Ugonoh was doing his best work because, that's where he was able to get full extension on his shots in particular. But yeah, I mean, it was a good fight. To me, this is the fight of the year so far. And, it's going to take some serious fights to beat it because it reminded me of like the last couple of years of like Thomas Williams and Edwin Rodriguez just going to war with all the guys that they've been fighting recently.
Naoto, you prefer this fight over the Kaitrov-Aleem fight?
I'm trying to think what happened on the Kaitrov. Yeah, I do.
This is a fun fight, but I don't know that Kaitrov fight. I love that fight, so I don't know.
The Aleem fight was insane.
Yeah,
it was a good fight. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to watch that fight again, though.
That's fair.
And I think maybe just because this one's a little bit fresher in my mind.
Yeah, that does happen. You like if a big fight happens in November, it automatically becomes fight of the year because you can't remember what happened in January. But Matt, your thoughts on the fight? If you got anything else to add to it?
I think that Ugonoh had awesome body work. I think that he did get hurt by that. I think it was a right hand. I don't think it was an uppercut when he was coming in on the inside, and I think it was combined with that getting hurt and then him just tiring out. I think his arms gave out. He was throwing with everything, with every single shot. And that first 3 rounds, he was mercilessly attacking that body of Breazeale. I thought Breazeale was going to go down from a body shot eventually, just from the punishment. But Breazeale is obviously a very durable fighter, which is another sign of what Anthony Joshua did to him is even more impressive, in my opinion. And I think Breazeale, because of his durability and his ability to just continue through the fight with these lesser skilled guys, lesser powered guys, he's going to chew up B-level and C-level guys and entertaining scraps because he's not flashy. It's always going to be entertaining because he's mainly a fundamental boxer who's not that great at the fundamentals. But at the top level, I think Breazeale gets beat very handily by any of these top 5 guys, top 6, 7 guys.
Yep. Just on Agono, I think he's put himself in a difficult position now because finding opponents in the future, it's high risk, low reward because he's got power, he's got good movement. I can't really see any of the top guys wanting to fight him unless he becomes a mandatory to someone.
You have to give him like a Christian Hammer or somebody like that. Somebody that's not really a top guy. but that's semi a name, semi has just fought some guys. You give him that sort of guy because he is good. I think that he is going to.
I think he fares well against Parker.
Yeah, but that won't happen.
Yeah, but yeah, well, Fury's going to feed on him. Yeah.
No, because they're in the same
trainer,
trained by the same camp.
Oh, okay.
They're friends.
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about Ugonoh, though. I was actually referring to Breazeale.
Oh, Breazeale.
My bad.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
You think Breazeale beats Parker?
Yeah, I think he could.
Nah.
Okay.
I disagree.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, if he catches him with some of the same shots that I've seen Parker get caught with, I think he lights him up.
Yeah, but likewise, like, Breazeale can't do anything about a right hand.
I know, that's why I said I think he could. There's a difference between could and would.
Yeah.
You know, I think he definitely has a shot against him.
Now, Parker's got a great right hand, man, and like, I think he's got more power than Agono, and I think he'd probably starch Breazeale out, to be honest.
That's possible. I think he could get starched out, though, too.
Yep. All right. Anything else regarding this fight?
Nope.
No. Let's get to the next one.
Okay, so Hurd versus Harrison. We were kind of bigging this fight up a couple of weeks ago, and then it became a title fight with Charlo vacating his strap. And I thought Hurd would win quite convincingly, and I mentioned it to you and Leon during the day in a conversation we had that the winner looked pretty bad and the loser looked half decent, and you guys applied that the whole card was a bit like this, like Wilder won but didn't look good, Breazeale won but didn't look good, and again it applied to this fight.
Three comeback knockouts.
Yeah, I was disappointed with Hurd overall. He kind of got outboxed for the majority of the fight by Harrison. That wasn't doing anything special, just on the back foot, circling, using the jab, putting punches together. Where Hurd, first of all, he's got this weird stance, man. He's putting a lot of his weight on his back foot. He's shooting the jab from the side, like his elbow was very horizontal, and his face is kind of looking away, so he's only looking at his opponent from really one eye, and if his opponent jabs, he's kind of looking away, so he's not looking at his opponent at all, and that's one of the worst things you can do. And his ability to cut the ring off was terrible. He was just following Harrison around like a lemming, and I think he got very fortunate that one, Harrison is on the David Price train of not having that much stamina, even though he can last a lot longer than Price. When it starts going past like 8, he visibly tires and shots start hurting him, and it's a shame, man, because he was winning the fight quite clearly for me. I don't know about you guys, Leon. Did you catch this fight? You did it, yeah?
Yeah, I did watch this. I thought it was a really good fight. I was very impressed with Harrison. I mean, he was doing very well, and I think there was moments when he stepped to him as well, didn't he? He wasn't just always on the back foot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he moved well, but then sometimes he'd step in, and we had that. I watched it on YouTube, but I watched Sky version. So we had that one man, the one man commentator cam.
Yeah.
Who's just on his own, boring himself.
Ray Flores. Have you noticed, though, with the PBC international stream, Ray Flores is doing the commentary, and as soon as the fight finishes, he has to get up and go and do the ring announcing, man. That proper poor budget, man. He has to do 2 jobs.
That's crazy.
But he was...
It's a shame that you guys don't get our commentary over here, man.
Yeah, they'd have to pay for usage, wouldn't they?
Our commentary is good, though. We got Brian Kenny. I mean, come on.
No, I actually watched that fight with Brian Kenny and Virgil and Abner Mares, so
Abner Mares isn't bad. Abner Mares is good, actually. Virgil and Brian Kenny, God, get the fuck out of here.
Nah, I've always had a soft spot for Brian Kenny.
What? I just think he doesn't know.
I think Kenny's all right. I think he's serviceable. I'm not a big fan of Hunter, but I think Kenny's all right.
So, but going back to the one man show cam, he was saying that he thought Harrison was hurting Hurd quite a bit. I didn't see that. I mean, I think there's some times where he backed him up.
I saw a couple occasions where I thought he did. There was like 2 particular right hands.
But he backed him up a little bit. But really, he wasn't feeling that. I think if he'd had, I think the power in the end, he could just felt like he could walk through him, didn't he?
I agree, Leon.
That's how he got to him in the end. He couldn't hurt him.
No, I agree. I don't think he was hurt. And to your point, I think there were times where Harrison was backing him up with combinations. So yeah, I agree to that.
Yeah, and he was putting them together nice, and but am I going mad again? But he looked small. Like he looked like he could be at 147. Am I going mad?
I don't know. I think
they're both 6'1".
Oh, is he 6'1"? Because he looked so small next to Hurd, though, didn't he?
Hurd just has that huge back and everything.
But I think Hurd, he's a bit straight up, where Harrison he's got more knee bent, so he looks a bit smaller when he's going backwards.
Yeah. But he's got like you said, that style's a weird ass style, isn't it? And I don't think it's very good because he's getting landed on.
It's a style where he's used to being so much quicker than his opponent and taller that he takes advantage of being able to be on the back foot and pot shot him. So he doesn't really know how to cut distance.
No, and in this fight he had to be the front foot guy, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he didn't look, but I mean he's obviously got some power, and that shot that he stopped him with was a pretty brutal. That was a good shot.
That was a beautiful counter right hand, but the ref,
lovely.
The ref didn't know what to do. He's like, he spat his gum.
No one knew what was going on.
I think he's too old to ref, man. He looked like he didn't know what was going on. He had to be taken back to his home afterwards. But yeah, he just waved off.
He did call him holding though, didn't he? But he never gave him a point. He kept on calling it, but he kept on saying final warning.
Yeah.
But that was the end of it. Like there was 12 final warnings.
And half of those warnings, there was only one arm tied up too. Like it wasn't even full on holding. So that was just a bad ref. That was one of those Alabama refs that never goes to New York or Nevada or California for the big fights. So he's just a shit ref probably.
That's fair. But Matt, your view on the fight?
I pretty much agree with Leon that the fact that Hurd was just walking forward. I didn't think his jab was non-existent to me. I believe he's in the same gym with Lamont Peterson, and I think that's Barry Hunter. And those fighters are just stalkers for some reason. They always come forward with no jab and then get hit, then get lit up. And I think that's what. What was his opponent's name? I'm blanking. I always get him and Willie Nelson mixed up.
Tony Harrison.
Tony Harrison. Thank you. Sorry, my bad. I thought Harrison was doing an excellent job throughout the fight. I thought he was winning. I think I gave Hurd only maybe 1 or 2 rounds up until the knockout.
I give him 2.
Yeah, and I thought that Harrison just had a cardio issue. I mean, that's what it is to me. There is a suspect shin. I think that's part of it. But I just think that his cardio, for whatever reason, is not up to par. And when he's on his back foot for an extended period of time, he tires out after around 6 or 7 rounds. And we even saw that. And it was the same thing with the Willie Nelson fight. Around the 6th or 7th round, tired out. And then Nelson went in there and knocked him out in the 9th round, the same round that Hurd knocked him out in. There's just some sort of issue there with cardio. Maybe a chin issue, I don't know. But it sucks to see when a guy is winning the entire fight and then just, boom, an entire fight changes and he just cannot get back in it. And I think Harrison has some mental lapses in the ring, some IQ issues, and I think so has Hurd. I think both these guys are super incomplete. And I think the top 4 or 5 of that division beat him. I think even guys like Van Rosen could beat Jared Hurd. I'm not sold on Hurd as a champion because he's obviously a paper champion. And Harrison is back in the drawing board, another knockout loss. I think he's going to be the new, the Thomas Williams of the junior middleweight division.
To your point about, my mind's gone blank. But Neil, you got anything else to add?
I kind of agree with Mark with regard to Hurd's overall placement in the division. I think he's probably the clear weak link of the champions in the division. He definitely showed a lot of flaws in there against Harrison. If anything, if you want to talk about their completeness, I'd say Harrison is really more complete technically. His problem is conditioning wise. He doesn't have any damn stamina. He tires out. You pretty much just have to wait until he gets tired, and then he's a sitting duck. And I wouldn't even necessarily say it's as much his chin as just his overall stamina, because it seemed like when he first started getting hurt by Hurd's shots, he was heaving. It's like he was just trying to suck wind, basically. It didn't look like he was particularly badly hurt, in terms of just being wobbly and his legs being unsteady. It looked like his legs were unsteady because he just ran a marathon or something. But yeah, Hurd is he needs to seriously sharpen a lot of things up, both defensively, offensively. He's one of these guys that seems like he can't really do both at the same time. I felt like that when he fought Jojo Dan in a major way. He was getting hit with a lot of shots, and I thought that in this fight he got exposed a lot more so because Harrison was hitting him significantly harder than Jojo Dan did and then Oscar Molina did. I thought he was momentarily stunned there a couple of times, but he pretty much won this hard on chin, will, and heart. But you can't win all your fights like that. I think him against Julian Williams, for instance, would be a fantastic fight. I think it's a pretty even fight. I think him versus Jermell Charlo would be a pretty interesting fight because I do think Charlo has a lot of issues as well. Although I think Charlo, I favor Charlo to win that. But Charlo showed a lot of issues as well, like I was trying to hint at with regard to his fight against John Jackson. John Jackson was outboxing him every single round of that fight until he managed to score a comeback knockout. So that fight was kind of similar to this one.
Trout would beat him.
Yeah, Trout would be really difficult, man.
For Hurd, wouldn't he?
Trout's
a
bad
tough
style matchup, I think.
Yeah, and he's a tough bastard with it, so he's not going to do, because I think that Harrison looked quite pensive, like facially, doesn't he? He looks kind of he doesn't look super comfortable in there. Maybe that might just be the misfortune. That's what he looks like, but he doesn't look like he's enjoying it almost.
That's what happens when he wears indoors.
He has that look where it's like as long as things are going his way, it's all good. But when he really faces adversity, he doesn't seem to handle it especially well.
Nervous fighter.
When he was fighting Harrison, for instance, he was coming forward with his hand at his waist. You can't be walking forward with your hand at your waist like that. He needed to keep that left glove up because he was getting tagged with right hands all night. He was so wide open for that shot.
And what do you think now? Just an easy defense for Hurd and IBF mandatories. They're not good these days, are they?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kell Brook just said, "Fuck the Spence fight. I'll fight at 154 and take that belt off Hurd."
I was actually thinking about that.
Because the IBF already has him ranked, so they'll give him an immediate title shot.
Look, Kell's world's out of control at the moment. He's head spinning, man. He doesn't know what's going on. he's just looking like the D side. He's been absolutely schooled. He needs to just concentrate and get his head back together.
Well, here's the thing, though. Charlo will go to the UK. As far as he's concerned, he's not in any kind of A side or anything. And as far as we're concerned, screw making 147. Why am I going to try and make a weight that's hell for me in the first place and might be even tougher after I was already, pretty shredded at 160? I'll go down and fight this guy who's extremely flawed and ripe for the picking.
Because he still wants that Amir Khan fight.
Yeah,
but we'll come to that later.
That's mental, to borrow a term from you, Leon.
Yeah. That was I'm a big fan of Amir Khan at the moment. He sent Matchroom to hell, so fucking genius. We'll come to him later though.
Manny and Amir splashing Kell Brook at the side of the road.
Spectacular.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we got on this card you guys want to mention?
No.
All right. Let's quickly just talk about the Sky Sports card in Hull. Probably one of the worst Sky cards I've seen in a while. It's either a fight in Vargas and McDonnell where it's a bit overmatched, and the rest of the undercard were just fights where one-sided opponents don't really have a chance, I thought. So
yeah. I'll just say this quickly, and then you guys can talk about it because this is why I cancelled my Sky. This is why I cancelled Sky, because of this bullshit. Fucking horrible card. But you guys can go on. I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah, first one of the year, and it was a bit of a stinker. But Neota, let's talk about Gavin McDonnell versus Ray Vargas. For me, right, in every criteria, Vargas was just a bit better than McDonnell. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, I thought so. I thought he won the fight pretty handily. It was almost like the Tony Harrison versus Jarrett Hurd fight, but the first 4 rounds over the entire 12. He pretty much just went in there and schooled him, and stepped into the jab, stepped off of it, controlled the distance extremely well. Gavin was coming through. He was trying really hard, but he was missing a lot, and he was getting his head jabbed off and snapped back repeatedly with the right hand as well.
Yeah, Gavin came out very kind of hyper, very twitchy. Looked like he just like took some drugs and he was just like bobbing and weaving, and just like, even when he wasn't even in the pocket, he was just moving about too much. It just seemed like a lot of wasted energy, and I think his accuracy was off a bit. Vargas's body work was good. McDonald did have a bit of success with the counter right hand. Like sometimes when Vargas is still in the pocket and he hasn't stepped out, his gloves are low a bit, and he gets caught with like a grazing left hand where he's trying to like pull his face away, and it happened quite often in the fight. But because he's pulling out, there's no really contact on it, and he doesn't get hurt. So, but yeah, Vargas impressed me to a point. I don't know, like Super Bantam's kind of gone a bit thin now since most of the better guys have stepped up to featherweight. So I don't know, like if Vargas can kind of take over or not. From what I've seen of him before in fights I watched to get a bit of research on him, he seemed a bit better. I don't know if the power was just against guys that have got bad chins, because I thought he may have got Gavin out of there when I predicted it last week. So I didn't see Gavin McDonnell hurt out at any point really where he was badly hurt. So I don't know if Gavin's just got a decent chin or Vargas' power is a bit overrated, but very one-sided fight. How Ian John Lewis, one of the worst refs, one of the worst judges in boxing history, had that a draw, like that was absolutely fucking disgusting. How that fight was a majority decision is disgusting.
Yeah, that was Solis versus Jamie McDonnell level. That was that bad of a card, because he dominated that fight. He dominated it. But as far as Vargas's power, I'd say it might be a little bit of both. This was a step up for him as it was for Gavin, and I think Gavin did take some of those shots a lot better than some of Vargas's opponents. I think Vargas, he has solid power, but I think if anything, his body shots, he tends to put a lot more into those than his head shots. Seems like his head shots he tends to do while he's on the move, like while he's on the back foot, is where a lot of his head shots come from. Whereas when he's stepping to you is where he's really trying to land those mean left hooks and right hands to the body.
Yeah, Matt, you saw the fight. What did you think?
I thought Ray Vargas, I think it was Naota who said it, that he, like, whenever he stepped out, like to the side off a jab or anything like that from McDonald, he always went to the body first, and I love that. I love when fighters prioritize the body. It makes me really believe in their skill and just their ability to understand what's going on. I thought Ray Vargas probably won 4 rounds out of the 12. I had a stream that was cutting out a bit, so I missed some rounds, missed some parts of rounds. But he was winning throughout, just seemed like the harder hitter, the more smooth, technical boxer. He had a rhythm. McDonald did not have a rhythm at all. He seemed nervous throughout the bout. I'm really excited to see Ray Vargas take maybe a step up, maybe fight like the winner of Guillermo Rigondeaux and Moises Flores, maybe a Nonito Donaire, because obviously that's just still a name, but still beatable. I'd probably pick Ray Vargas over Nonito Donaire at this point. Obviously, we have like guys like Jesse Magdaleno at the top. That would be an awesome fight. Shingo Wake, Manu Avil, Hugo Rios. Like, there's tons of guys in this division that are just would make exciting fights for Ray Vargas, and I think he's going to be a good champion. I don't know how long he's going to stay at the top, but I think he's good. That's the thing. I think he can definitely stay there for a while.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think he shows a lot of the tricks of Nacho Berestein's trade. Just a good more defense first boxer, but somebody that has a little bit of crack on him as well. And if you really try to press him, I mean, you're really going to see exactly what he's got. I do know the WBC ordered 2 eliminators for his first 2 opponents at the weight. One of them was Hugo Ruiz versus Julio Ceja 3. So if they managed to make that fight, then he'd fight the winner of that, which I think is an excellent test. The other one was Nonito Donaire versus Anselmo Moreno. But in spite of the fact that Moreno, I think, signed on for that, I don't think Donaire did. So I think Donaire might be out of the running completely due to that whole situation. Because I think they're trying to match Donaire up against Oscar Valdez for whatever reason. I don't think he stands any chance in that fight. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Vargas was one of the guys that had been actually trying to get a fight with Guillermo Rigon now the last couple of years. The WBC had even said that they'd sponsor it, for the title when it was vacant for that little while before the initial Hugo Ruiz versus Julio Ceja fight. And then, of course, Hugo wound up losing to Josumi Hasagawa, who just retired, and that's the reason why he has the vacant belt now that he just won. But Yukinori Oguni is another fighter, the IBF champion. I think that would be an interesting test for him. Another guy that's really tall, a good back foot boxer, and it'd be interesting to see exactly who would have to come forward a little bit, and who would do better in that regard. I think Jesse Magdaleno, that's a bit easier to call in terms of Magdaleno would have to be the one getting on the inside because he's a shorter, smaller fighter. And, he's a little bit quicker, so it would be like kind of the height and the reach against the speed and the inside fighting ability.
Yep. Very quickly, hold on. You said Nonito Donaire is moving up to try to fight Oscar Valdez?
That's what the recent word was, yeah.
Poor bastard. He's going to get killed.
My boy Nonito, man. What's he doing?
Cam.
Yes.
I know I didn't see this fight, right? But can I just speak on I Am the Ref? Ian John Lewis. Right. A few people have said to me, oh, this is why Leo Santa Cruz shouldn't have to come over here because of these kind of things that happen, right? Which is fair enough as a kind of passing statement. But look, that's Ian John. That guy is shit, and we all know he's shit. So the idea, and it's on a matchroom card, so we know how that goes. Frampton making a deal with Frampton, making a fight with Frampton, he could get all the things he wanted and come to this country. International refs, international judges. Frampton and McGuigan have proven themselves to be willing to make fights. So using that as an excuse for some fighters not ever wanting to come to this country, it's not good enough. He's shit. We know he's shit. It's not a fucking surprise. We're not going, that's a really dodgy decision out of fucking nowhere. It's really out of... The guy's shit. He does a shit job all the fucking time. So the idea that this card is something new is fucking the guy's shit.
Yeah.
You can get other guys to do the fucking job. That's not a reason not to come here, man.
Yeah. And just off that topic, but staying on that fight, another thing that pissed me off, Andy Clark and Paul Smith were on the commentary team all night, and during that fight, at one point, Paul Smith said, "Oh, McDonald needs to do some tactics, because he was kind of pulling him down and punching him at times, and then trying to get a call as a knockdown, but it was more like a pull down and hitting him while he had his hand behind his neck and stuff." And Paul Smith was condoning that, saying, yeah, he needs to do more of that. He needs to kind of get in his head a bit and just, get him off his game plan and blah, blah, blah. And then I think between the 9th and the 10th round, they went to Johnny Nelson in the crowd, and he was saying the same thing. So basically, Sky was condoning someone cheating to fucking help win a fight, man. It was disgusting, I thought. Terrible.
What do we expect from these people? They're fucking corrupt puppets. We know they all are.
So he's getting schooled in every round, and the only tactic they can give him is to kind of cheat a bit.
But if you're going to ask a shit boxer for his opinion on how to win a fight he's clearly losing, Paul Smith, of course he's going to say that, because that's what he would do.
That's true. All right. I don't think anyone else saw the rest of the card, so I'll just go quickly through it. Luke Campbell was on it. He fought Jairo Lopez. I don't know, his opponent wasn't that good, to be honest. He took him out, I think, in 2 rounds. Luke, I'm a fan. But these type of fights do nothing. I understand why he's on the card. It's in Hull. Gavin McDonald's not from Hull. He's from down the road. But, he probably haven't got an arena big enough from where he's from. So they put in Hull. Put Tommy Coyle on the card as well. Ship more tickets because Doncaster's probably not that big. So, yeah, he's on the card. He's talking about a rematch with Mendy. I don't know. I like Luke. He's looked sharper in the last few fights. His little half step back counters are good. He caught Lopez with a nice step back left uppercut. He caught him with a nice left hand at the top of the head as well. That caused the first knockdown. So I don't know. These fights do nothing for me. I just want to see him competitive. He's talking about maybe going after British or going after Mendy in the rematch. I think he needs to start stepping up now. He's 15-1. and he is on the older side, so I think Eddie needs to kind of throw him in there now, start seeing if he's going to be able to sink or swim. Tommy Coyle, sorry, go on.
Eddie's pulling bullshit on this one as well. He's saying, isn't he meant to be mandatory for Cardell's British title? But I swear I heard this, that Hearn came out and said he's not going to make that fight until Cardell wins the belt outright.
All right.
So you're going to let your boy get his trinket and then put him in a real fight?
That's just Eddie.
It's a fucking it's in-house fight, man.
Yeah, that's the most obvious fight to make.
It's the only fight to make that makes any sense. For the fight that you want him semi-competitive against someone for something that means something, British title fight. But again, they'd rather them so fucking Joe Gallagher can put another fucking Lonsdale belt on his wall. He'll fight a nobody, and then they'll now it's your turn. Here you go, Luke. It's your turn now.
Yep.
Bullshit.
Tommy Coyle beat up Rakeem Noble. I think he was a 1 week replacement because his initial opponent pulled out. Noble was just too chin up in the air, man, too easy to hit. Tommy Coyle got a stoppage for a change. But I read today, I think he damaged his eye socket as well, so fractured it or something. So that's not really good. Maybe another long-term-ish injury for Tommy Coyle. Ryan Burnett was on the card in an 8-rounder. I think we spoke about Burnett in the past, Leon. We're both fans of him. He said afterwards that he was using the fight as, opportunity to test things and practice things in the ring. And it seemed like that when I watched it, like the pace was a kind of settled throughout the fight. He never kind of changed gears. I do like Burnett though. He mixes up punches. It's got variety. It's got really good movement. There was a point I think in the 4th round where he decided just to stand on the inside and trade with him, and he had his back on the ropes for at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and he was having more success than his opponent Reyes was. He just had the harder punches, and his accuracy with the punches was better. But Reyes, props to him, man. I've never seen him before, but he's definitely going to get his mortgage paid off in the UK because he kept coming forward, he kept trying. I think he's a Mexican, but he's based in Spain, so Hearn will definitely bring him over again for other of his bantamweights, and Warren will probably looking at him as well. So props to Reyes, he didn't come to fall over. But Burnett, hopefully again, kind of step him up a bit. He's 15-0 or 16-0 now, so let's see him in more competitive fights. David Allen, the heavyweight, beat up a Polish plumber in 30 seconds, stopped him, he turned his back, hit him with a shot, ref jumped in. And that's about it, really. I said at the top, pretty poor first card of the year for Matchroom. Obviously, we got a big fight, pay-per-view this weekend, so let's hope that's a lot better, but bad start by Eddie, to be honest. And that's it for that one. Leon, shall we move on to Friday night?
Yes, let's do it.
You were in the house. I think you got there early, man. You sent me that picture of the ring. I think you were one of the first people through the door.
I was in the first top 20 or something. Yeah.
Did you meet any people? Any listeners of the show?
Yeah, I met a few listeners. I met Bill. I met my boy. What's his name? Oh, is it Hang Incredible? I missed Nunes, but yeah, I got to hang out with Bill quite a bit. It was a good night. It was really fun. Like, it was a great atmosphere in there. Everyone was really friendly. Yeah, it was good fun.
Good card as well.
I saw some good card. I didn't see all the fights, and I haven't watched it back yet, but I saw some.
Yeah.
Saw more than half of them, but there was 11 fights or something.
Yeah, Leon, you had so much fun. You were drunk texting me at God knows what hour.
I was stuck on the fucking train.
It was bad, man. It was like, oh.
I was stuck on the train for an hour just sitting there on the way home. It was a bitch of a journey home.
Yeah. Before we get into it, Naoto and Matt, did you guys catch any of these fights?
I only caught the main.
Yeah.
All right, let's start there then. Leon, our friend of the show, our boy, Ben Jones, really good fight, and, I was really proud of him. There was a few things that was really disappointed, though, overall. Give us your thoughts initially. Again,
Second time, he's been in a fantastic fight. And, he struggled. I think he struggled, with the distance, because it definitely caught up to him in the end. And yes, I think the stamina was the issue because he started to chill on those ropes, like just after halfway, and it was not good, and he was getting caught at that point. Because I thought he was winning reasonably comfortably from the beginning. Again, I haven't seen it back, so I've only watched it from that one side of the ring that I was standing on, and it was pretty fucking hyped in there, so it was difficult to see it all the time because people were going crazy because they were stepping to it straight away. But at one point when he's cut up close, because I was really close, that was pretty grim, man. I thought there was one point that they were looking to stop that around the fourth or fifth, and Ben was doing really well at that point. But then once that guy, I mean, he was relentless. I mean, you got to really give credit to Poxon. He did real good, didn't he?
Very good.
But Ben took it like a man and went out on his shield, and there's no shame in that. How close was it to the end of the round, Cam? I can't quite remember.
Off the top of my head,
he nearly survived,
I think there was about 90 seconds left, something like that. I'm not 100% sure, don't hold me to it, but I'll get to Naoto and Matt's opinion, but I had Ben down, from watching it on TV, just the pressure from Poxton, and as you said, as he was kind of going backwards, he was just getting caught with too many clean shots, too many left hands, too many right hands. One issue he does have is his hands are up, but they're kind of by his chin. They're not covering his head. So as he's kind of pulling backwards, he was just getting caught with silly shots he didn't need to get caught with.
Yeah.
You can hook around him.
Yeah, and the thing I'm most disappointed with is I can't even say he didn't adjust, because in the third round he did. Like, Poxton had a really good first and second. The pressure, just the volume, and the fact that he was landing on Ben was excellent. But in the third, Jones adjusted and he started to box and move. He was using the centre of the ring a bit more. He wasn't kind of laying on the ropes and just kind of fighting them on the inside. And I thought, oh, here's a chance now. He's adjusted to him. He'll do it. But then after the fourth and fifth, he kind of reverted back to the kind of back against the ropes.
He got dragged back in, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think that goes to the opponent, though, doesn't it?
That's fair.
Sometimes you got to give the opponent, he changed it. But I thought there was, again, live one side of the ring. I thought there was moments in the fourth and fifth where he looked hurt, Poxon, but maybe it's just the angle I was standing in. But in the end, Ben just didn't quite have the power to keep him off him. But you've got to remember, the kid's 20. Yeah, he's a big, tall guy as well. He hasn't got that man strength yet.
And that's why he should be proud of himself, man. He hasn't got that amateur background. At the level he's come so far so quickly, man. All he has to do is just go back, regroup, and just keep putting the work in, and the success will come, because he's shown he's definitely got the skills. He just needs to maybe, obviously, try and make adjustments, but continue to make them, because he's definitely got the skills and the mindset and the boxing brain to do things. He just needs to, implement them a bit more. But props
absolutely,
to Ben, man.
Yeah, it was a good, again, for people who were there, we were all there. It was a fucking great fight to watch. The whole card was good, but that was a really, really good fight. And he's a young kid, and losses and zeros are for casuals and Floyd Mayweather fans.
Dan, we're getting bad feedback if you're done.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Mute yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world.
Now, look how many legendary boxers had an early loss or early stumble in the career. So many of them, so it's no issue.
Yeah, no, it's weird, isn't it? Because, like, I don't usually get too emotional, overly into some fighters, but for some reason I've really got into the kid, and it's so exciting being there, and he put on a great performance, and I know some people have tuned in to see me fall on my sword, and I have, so they can enjoy that if that's what gets them off.
Saddles. Naoto, your thought on the fight?
I kind of echo both of you guys' sentiments. I did think that Pakistan, he started fast, he started quick, and I don't think that Jones was really quite ready for that type of fight. He kind of caught him by surprise, and so it took him a little bit of time for Jones to start to warm up. Once he did, I thought, he started to do pretty well. But, Parkston, I think just overall, there's just the pressure and the ability for him to close the distance. And also the fact that he just kept looping those shots right around Jones's guard. It's like he just wasn't quite ready for it. And it's like he was going backwards so much, eventually he just kind of ran out of space. He ran into the ropes, and he would eat a shot coming back forward as well. So it's really just a matter of, I think he fought the wrong style at the wrong time. A little bit too fast, a little bit too soon for him to fight that type of a style. And, it would have been a little bit better probably for him to fight somebody that maybe wasn't able to quite close the distance that fast or with that much, tenacity that Parkston was able to beforehand, so that he could get used to fighting in that style before he came up against it. Because, he's basically a guy that's learning on the job. So I do expect him to potentially grow from this. And, if he's going to be a great fighter, or even just a good fighter, he should be able to. He should be able to learn from his mistakes in this fight. And, props to him for hanging in there as much as he did. I mean, he definitely got hurt a lot of times later on in that fight, and I was actually kind of surprised he even made it to that last round before he managed to get stopped close to the end of it. But, props to Parkston, too, for actually bringing it home. In a way, this fight kind of reminded me on a lower level of the Charlie Edwards versus John Miguel Casimiro fight, where it's just, he is a guy that, he definitely had some skills, but he just went in way over his head a little bit too soon, and he paid dearly for it. But, I definitely think that he could still improve upon that performance, and this isn't going to be his ceiling. He could still get better from here.
Matt, your thoughts on the fight?
I think that most of you guys are right, or all of you guys are right in all of your sentiments. I thought Ben Jones, his ability to defensively get himself out of position was just not there at all. The pressure was just always in front of him. Parkston was always right there, throwing shots, getting in his face. He needs to learn how to slip, pivot, and get out that side door. Take that half step back before, almost before his opponent comes forward. He was letting his opponent get on the inside and then trying to back straight up. Can't do that. Offensively, still a very gifted young fighter. And again, losses mean relatively nothing at the beginning of your career. Bernard Hopkins, I believe, lost either his first fight of his pro career or his second fight of his pro career. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao, same situation. So we have a long case study, a long history of guys losing their early fights and still becoming legends, still becoming some of the best of all time. So I think this kid who's only 20 years old still shows a lot of talent. His defense needs to be there. He needs to work on that diligently because offensively he is a gifted fighter. His rhythm with his combinations for a guy with no amateur experience is something really special. That's pure natural God-given talent right there. So I think that if he shores up his defense, he can really go far with his career.
Right, Dan, you could take yourself off mute now. What's happening, Dan?
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Just took a smoke break from work. I told them I was going on a smoke break, even though I don't smoke.
Even though you don't smoke.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught this fight, but I presume if you're on a break, your time is limited. So whatever fights you saw, go ahead.
No, I didn't see the Boy Jones fight. I know Chemo and Leon were quite hurt, so I don't want to upset those two any further than necessary. I did see a couple of the U.S. fights. They were pretty bummy, to say the least. I thought Deontay looked like ass in that fight. And Deontay's such an enigma to me because he does have game-changing power. It's kind of crazy. Like somebody told me that he reminds them of a Randall Bailey of the heavyweight division. And I don't know if that's 100% correct because I do think Deontay is more athletically skilled, relatively speaking, to his competition. But, man, he looks so poor. I mean, did you guys give him a single round up to the knockout, I think, in the 5th round?
I think it was the 4th where he stopped him, but no, up until
the
that
4th.
point. I'll give it all to Washington.
Yeah, no, Washington was sweeping him.
Well, it looks like somebody doesn't like my assessment. They just left the room. So whoever that is,
Exit stage
fuck
left.
you. No, I'm totally kidding. No, I thought it was just a weird fight, man. Just the entire card, like those cards in Alabama when it's so centered on one guy. You know, the Hurd Harrison fight was kind of poor. I mean, I didn't really go into depth in it last week, but I did pick Hurd to win, and I did think he was going to struggle early because it's just something about these DC fighters, man. We touched on it with Lamont and his camp. It's like these guys all train the same way. Just come forward, you know, no head movement, no jab, really no skill per se. You know, I know that's easy for somebody like me to say, but when you watch them fight, it's like there's no build, there's no setup to any of Hurd's output. You know, it's just pure like strength and athleticism and talent, because that straight right that he dropped Harrison with was a thing of beauty, you know, but it really wasn't set up by anything. And it's funny, man, because that I know that's about that Charlo left, but you know, Hurd to me reminds me of like a very bummy version of Jamal. You know, if they fight kind of similar in the sense that they both have high explosive, like one or two punch powers. So, you know, he'll always be a problem for somebody, but he just, you know, if he doesn't set up any of his punches like that, I really think he's probably gonna lose his next fight if it's a pretty decent level guy. So, I mean, it was a decent, you know, card. I know that guy Breazeale came back in pretty dramatic fashion, so props to him. But I heard he also got his ass tapped by Deontay after the fight, so that's unfortunate. But yep, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I'm more fascinated by the news, obviously, the Khan-Pacquiao news, and then obviously the Danny Thurman fight is something that I'm looking forward to. And if you guys haven't seen, man, you guys have to check out Showtime's The Reveal. It's some of the most like just heart-wrenching, emotion-filled. Hey, don't laugh while I'm talking. Hey, no, hold on. It's some of the most like just gut-wrenching TV I've seen in a long time, man. Like they did this special with Danny Garcia where Danny like cried for the first time. I've never seen Danny that emotional, and it just really got to me. You know, just talking about him without his dad from, you know, the age from 7 to 10, and you guys all know that, you know, as a child you need your father's oversight. You know, you need his guidance, and it was just really touching, like heart-wrenching stuff, man. And I know it's so easy to judge Danny, you know, but honestly, like if you watch his stuff, I think you might just reconsider kind of how you view him as a man.
Yeah, you need your dad there to teach you racism. It's very important.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So I don't know, guys. What else have you guys been talking about other than the Boy Jones fight?
Dan, just quickly apologize. You were right. It was the fifth round where Wilder stopped Washington. So apologies. But we just touching upon all the fights. We talked about Vargas versus McDonald, but yeah, like I said, if your time's limited, do you just want to give your preview of Haye, Bellew, and Garcia Thurman?
Sure. Wow, I just want to say the Washington fight was interesting because I think that was the first time that I've ever seen a boxer wear MMA gloves in a fight. Did you guys notice those ugly ass gloves that he wore?
Yeah, they were bad.
Oh, the Venoms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen the Venom brand in a professional championship fight anyway.
Yeah, Bellew versus Haye, or I'm picking Bellew in that fight by stoppage. I think Bellew's gonna knock him out. Well, I'm serious.
No,
I think Bellew's gonna stop him. I swear, I'm gonna pick Bellew just to be contrarian. I'm gonna pick Bellew in the 6th round. I mean, is this really that big of a mismatch? I'm not being facetious. I'm really just curious. Like, is Haye that big of a favorite?
I think he is. I'm pretty hyped for this fight. They had some build-up shows this weekend. There was the behind the ropes, and the gloves are off. And my wife was watching the gloves off with me, and she was just laughing all the stuff that Haye was saying to Bellew and back and forth. They are like two childs, but the casual in you kind of is entertained by the nonsense.
Gotcha. Yeah. Is there anybody on that card that's decent?
Your favorite boxer, Paulie Malignaggi?
Are you serious?
Yep, he's fighting Sam Eggington.
Is he fighting Eggington?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I hope Eggington murders him. Like, literally kills him. I'd like that very much. I hate Paulie so much. I wish he would just get off the airwaves entirely. But regarding the Danny Thurman fight, oof, this is, geez Louise. I'm getting... I know this sounds so stupid for me to say. Like, I'm not super, super hyped about the fight, but I'm just so fascinated by how the fight is going to end up. You know, like Danny to me always does remind me of one of those guys that gets up for fights. And I know that's such a stupid thing to say, but I also do think it's real. Like, I think certain fighters just know how to step up in pressure situations, whereas other fighters don't. Like, a la Matisse versus Garcia. I think Garcia has that special it factor where he can actually step up and make decisions in very high pressure moments, whereas guys like Matisse cannot. So I'm picking Danny. I should be picking Keith because I think Keith is a better fighter and I think he has a better attributes and I feel like his style is more advantageous in this situation. But I just think Danny's gonna. I think Danny's gonna do the Matisse route and he's gonna clip Keith with a couple of good shots and he's gonna manage to keep him at bay and manage to cut the distance off. Even though he does it poorly, I think he'll do enough to eke by like a 7-5 decision. So. Yeah, man. I just don't think Keith is a very good boxer on his back foot. Like, I was rewatching the Porter fight, and he just doesn't deal with, like, pressure very well. And I know Danny isn't a pressure fighter, but I feel like if you can get enough punches in, I feel like he can make it a close enough fight.
And, Dan, while you're on, this news about Khan and Pacquiao, your thoughts?
I'm not going to that fight. I'm sorry, Cam. I can't fly 18 hours for 2 to 3 days in Dubai.
Come on, bro.
It's just, nah. I mean, if it was in the UK, maybe, but I can't fly 18 hours for a 2-day trip.
You're hitting that chemo excuses, man.
But
come on. You can sleep.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't ever compare me to that bum, dude.
you're just trying to avoid young Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, Chemo's a bum anyway, man. He's too skinny for my taste, He's just kind of a nasty guy, so I'd rather just not kind of, encounter him. But the fight itself is going to be fun, honestly. I think it's going to be really action-packed. It's going to be close while it lasts, but I actually think Pacquiao's going to stop him pretty late. Do you guys think Pacquiao can stop him?
Yeah, I think he stops him like mid. I think for the first few, Khan will be fast, but he'll just get time because we were talking about Pacquiao a few weeks ago, and even though his output has dropped a lot over the last couple of years, his timing has probably got even better. So.
Yep, and Khan, I don't think there's going to be any cage. That Chris Algieri cage is not going to be existent in that fight. So Khan is just going to have free reign to be his dumbass self, not make any adjustments. And Khan is just too brave for his own good. And I feel like if he fights in Dubai, he's going to want to please the crowd so much. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be just like a local, I know obviously that's not his hometown, but I do feel like it's probably going to be a more pro-Khan crowd, right? Is that fair to say? Or is that just me being very ignorant?
There are a lot of Filipinos based in the
I know there is, yeah. That's very true. Yeah, so maybe 50-50?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, and who's going to be on that undercard, do you know?
Neota's favourite boxer. What's his name? Muhammad Ali or something?
What?
Muhammad Ali?
Neota, what's that favourite?
You talking about Muhammad Wasim?
Wasim, that's it. Muhammad Wasim.
Wassam?
Yeah,
Muhammad Wassam?
The Pakistani based in Korea, based in South Korea.
Our love child.
That's disgusting, Cam. Don't ever put those words in my mouth.
All right, we're getting off track now. Dan, are you staying on the show, or you got to make a move?
Nah, I got to go back. But Chavez, Canelo, I think the press conferences have been amazing. I wish Mal Alpha was on so that he could break it down for us, city by city. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun day, man. You guys should come to Vegas for that fight in May. If you do that, I'll go to Khan-Pacquiao.
No, you won't.
I promise. I swear, if you come out to the one in Vegas, I'll come out to Khan-Pacquiao.
Yeah, but
in Dubai.
But that works the other way around because that's April. So how's that gonna happen?
You have my word.
I don't know. I don't trust it sometimes.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys. It was nice talking to you.
No, I do trust it. All right, Dan.
But seriously, that's it. Yep. Oh, and that's Matt from the Boxing Voice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm so pumped for 209. Are you going to 209?
Stop it.
209, but man.
Oh, man. No, I know. Matt, we can't discuss MMA here, but if you do end up getting it, let me know. I'll be in Vegas. So, but nonetheless, all right. It was nice talking to you guys, and Yeah, have a great show. And sorry, Leon, for your loss, man. And for people out there that are shitting on like a 20-year-old kid, get a fucking life, man.
Thank you, Daniel.
Well said. All right, thank you, Dan.
All right, peace.
Peace. All right, let's just go through the rest of this card, Leon, that you were at on Friday night. I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna go for everything, but a highlight of me.
Go on, you go first. A
highlight that I saw that I've never seen before. This boxer called Charlie Driscoll. He was on quite early in the show.
Yeah, he was the best. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go on. Sorry. Go on. You say something.
Yeah, I was saying he fought Dan Carr, and he really impressed me, man. His movement, his counter punching, his distance of range, man. He was really impressive.
Yeah, he was the most impressive person I saw on the card, as in skill set wise. I mean, he hardly missed a punch. You know, he looked fantastic. I mean, I don't know how good the guy he was fighting, but he looked very, very good.
But Dan Carr is like a journeyman. He's got 3 wins, 8 losses, but he comes to fight. He gives you a fight, and he did try and put a test to Driscoll. I just thought that Driscoll was too good, and he does look like he's 11 years old, but he fights like a man. And yeah, I hope I see him a lot more in the future, man. Very impressed.
I think he's going to be on this the next May card. There's a card in May of similar fighters.
On the Copper Box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Boy Jones on that as well. But yeah, no, he was definitely the most impressive guy. And I don't think, again, it's difficult because you're on one side of the ring, but I didn't see him miss a single shot.
Yeah. Very impressive. All right, you go next for a fight you want to mention. Yeah.
Sorry, I've muted myself. The next fight on was the Richards kid, the super middleweight.
Yeah, against Nagy.
Yeah. Again, he looked very good.
He's got the widest shoulders I've ever seen.
Oh, he's a massive. He looked huge. He looked bigger than super middleweight, but he looked really good. But he was a bit one pace. People were saying he should have got the guy out of there, but by all accounts, he was doing very specific things in there that coach wanted him to do. That's what we heard from a couple of people at ringside who knew him. So he wasn't there to get rid of his guy, if you see what I mean. He was just there with specific things he was meant to be doing. That's what we heard anyway.
Yeah, it's the first
time.
But
he looked good.
Yeah, first time I seen him, he impressed me. They were saying at ringside that he had like contract issues, and so he's been a bit inactive. He debuted in 2013, and obviously that was his 6th fight on Friday. So he's not had the kind of, I guess, the pace of progress that he's wanted to. But I hope he starts getting some fights, starts getting pushed a bit, because from what I've seen, it's quite impressive.
Yeah, and it's just another good guy at super middleweight, so which is always good over here. So. That's good. And then, did you see the Jay Harris fight?
Jay Harris fight, yeah. It's weird, the Harris fight, Leon. For me, it was a very good fight, but it's not a fight that I'd go back to watch. Like every round was competitive, but it didn't have like an X factor to it.
No, but I think Harris did well, and I think he deserves to win it.
I didn't score it. I had him winning. I thought some, but
yeah.
At times he didn't pick it up and kind of go at Harris. He was kind of happy to do what he was doing, and he didn't kind of up his level.
Lockett was giving him a few blasts in the corner as it was going on.
Yeah, but Harris, very good performance.
But he looked good. And I had a chat with Gary Lockett before early on. He was out at the front early on watching some of the early fights, and I was just asking him how Liam Williams was getting on. He's very confident, Cam.
Where do you think this confidence is coming from?
He believes that the other side they think they just turn up and they win. So he gets from them that they don't think this is a big fight. So that's one thing he thinks is in his favour. And 2, he doesn't think Gallagher rates Williams, and Lockett's saying that Williams got so much more to his game than he's shown. And we've seen it before when he's boxed, when he was in Germany those couple of times, he boxed really, really well. And he's not always a come forward fighter. He just thinks that he's got more things he can do and change in that fight than
Smith has.
Smith. I think he wasn't saying it in so many words, and he probably didn't want to say it, but it felt like he was saying, well, you know what Joe does, basically.
Yep, high guard for 8 rounds and then comes on.
Yeah. He said it'll be like the quick Rancher fight. He thinks he'll get that game plan.
Well, did he actually say that?
No, I might have said that, and then he might have nodded.
Fair enough.
But he was a really nice guy. He was really and Big Enzo was really nice. We were having some banter with him because we were right. You see where he was standing, Cam? We were right below him.
Yeah. So you were looking at
Charlie. Yeah. We were just fucking with him all the time.
You were looking at Charlie's skirt then, basically.
I'm not saying anything like that.
No, but Enzo, he's a good follower on Twitter, man. He's a really good dude.
He was really friendly, really honest, and like we were like. He was because everyone was like really pumped for that last fight, because I forgot to mention that 7th round in that fight was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Boxing Jones fight, that was a great round.
Yeah.
But we were getting their scorecards and it was good. It was good fun in there. Really, it's a great venue to watch boxing. If you haven't been there, that's one of the best there is.
I definitely need to go because I've never been. How many times have you been to Yoho?
Numerous times over the years, but that's the first time in maybe 3 or 4 years.
Right.
But I love it in there. But you can't take your drinks to the ringside.
Sorry, I don't drink anyway, so that's fine.
I know, but it slowed me up.
Why take drinks to ringside? That's kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is. I think it's just an old rule there, but it's keeping to shorts so you didn't miss much. No pints.
Yeah. Regarding the rest of the card, Leon, Sanjeev Sahota, very mismatched opponent. He's kind of just walked him down, kept punching, beat him down, to be honest. That wasn't really much to talk about. And I don't know. I don't want to be too negative, but Harley Ben, his professional debut.
Yeah.
Another son of the legendary Nigel. I don't know, Leon. From ringside, what's your opinion before I give mine?
I caught this. I didn't see I couldn't get out because it was crammed up. I couldn't get out for the first round, so I missed that. So I only saw what happened in the second.
Okay.
But by all accounts, the first round he was very wild.
Yeah, I think the whole atmosphere and everything got to him. First fight, kind of no amateur background, but there's a reason why people have amateur backgrounds. Like, he was so raw, man. Everything was arm punches. He almost kind of like blew himself out in the second round when he tried to get him out of there because he just put so much effort into it. His body shape, I think he came in at super middle, and I don't know, he wasn't muscular, wasn't toned. He just looked like a regular Joe off the street that just asked as a late replacement to fight someone. And I think he's just using his dad's name. It's a shame because there's guys that box from their childhood up into the early 20s and stuff, and they don't get opportunities to like become on a big TV card or anything. And this guy, fair enough, he's not got a great relationship with his father, but he's kind of using his name to benefit himself, and he's not good enough, man. He's not good enough.
No, he's not, and it just seems to be a common thing that's going on. I think we're just getting a state of him at the moment, but that venue will get to you if you're nervous, because it's right on top of that ring. Like, everyone's right on top of it. And the atmosphere is pretty kind of lively in there, Like, there was a lot of different pockets of people from different... There were a lot of fighter groups, you see what I mean? He'd sold these tickets, he'd sold these tickets. So it's getting pretty hyped in there. Not in a dangerous way, but if he was nervous, it would have got to him.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe I'll give him a pass and see how he performs in the second one, but just from the
first fight, what can you do? I mean, at least he's not on a fucking pay-per-view at 9 o'clock.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? That card is a lot better. Better than most stuff I've seen on Sky in a long time.
No, that is true. But I just... It's difficult for me when guys don't have the background, and you can tell it when you see him fight. He doesn't have the skill set, he doesn't have the stance, he doesn't have the technique, man. And I just feel bad for guys that put in the effort and, have 200 amateur fights and they can't get a promoter or they can't get any deals anywhere, and this guy just comes through and just his debut fight is on Box Nation. It's a shame, but maybe that's just me. Rest of it...
No, you're right.
Sorry?
You're right.
Yep. There was another kid, Archie Sharp, that looked pretty decent. He's at super featherweight, possibly. I think he's going to try and go for the Southern Area title soon, but that's really about it for... Oh, there was another guy, Zach Chelly, making his debut, that super middleweight, biggish dude. I don't know if you caught that fight.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, he was quite decent as well, so really good.
I'll go back and watch that.
Really good small hole card by Box Nation. The budget was a lot smaller than Hull, but the fights were a lot better than what Eddie Hearn did in Hull, so props to Warren, because we normally shit on Warren's domestic cards, so that was a decent one for a change.
I think it was a good one.
I agree. All right, let's go back to kind of news. We were talking about it with Dan. Start off with Khan-Pacquiao. I touched on it last week where I heard rumours that the fight was happening. Naoto, you think it's a good fight compared to some other fights we can get? And do you agree with Dan? Do you think Pac's going to stop Khan?
I guess it's a little bit more compelling than Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn. I don't know what the heck they're doing with Pacquiao now, and it's really a shame that they can't make him versus Crawford for whatever reasons on both sides of the deal. But the thing is that from what I've heard, I didn't actually see a lot of it, but from what I remember, and some of what I saw too, was that Khan pretty much always outboxed Pacquiao in sparring, and so if anything, I think that might have him a little bit gassed up to take that fight. But I think sparring and fighting is two different things, especially with regards to somebody like Khan and somebody like Pacquiao. If anything, I think a lot of Pacquiao's flaws could probably be exploited in sparring, not so much in the actual ring with the smaller gloves and the and without the headgear. And with Khan, he could take advantage of a lot of guys with the bigger, heavily padded gloves and the headgear that he can't necessarily do in an actual fight. So if anything, I could see Pacquiao stopping Khan. But I think that Khan will probably be able to give him a pretty significant amount of trouble up until that point. It's entirely possible it could wind up like the Chris Algieri fight, where Khan is just a little bit too up on his toes, and he's just pretty much a sitting duck for Pacquiao's full power shots to get full extension on. But if anything, I think Khan can at least give him some competitiveness in terms of hand speed and combination skills. But he's still a clear level below Manny at any stage, regardless of the stages of their careers, and especially coming off of getting brutally knocked to sleep by Saul Alvarez. That doesn't help his chances at all either. So, it's really not a great fight, but I don't necessarily think that there's too many compelling fights out there for Pacquiao that don't involve him fighting a non-top ranked guy, or at least a non-top ranked guy that he's not going to be heavily favored against. So it kind of makes sense in the whole deal with regard to where Pacquiao's career is at now, unfortunately. But I wanted to ask you a quick question, Cam. Were we not reviewing Alvarez and Bute?
I completely forgot about that fight. Let me just get Matt's opinion on Pac, and we'll go back to it. Matt, Pacquiao-Khan?
I think that Naoto's pretty much right on everything that we're going to see. We're going to see Khan do well, but Pacquiao's just a better fighter. He has transitioned to more of a defensive fighter as well in his later years. His counters have become very good. His ability to slip and rip off a shot before his opponent can move and react to it is at a very high level. And I think Amir Khan, even with his hand speed, is going to be open to counters all night. I see a finish probably in maybe like round 7, round 8. I just don't see Khan being the type of guy to beat Pacquiao. I've just never seen Khan being the type of guy that can beat him. I've always seen Pacquiao knocking out Khan. And even in Pacquiao's late stage of his career, I still think he has enough skill, enough speed, enough power to ice Khan. Even though he hasn't been icing people, he's been knocking them down. He's been hurting them. For a guy like Khan, he doesn't have the chin of a Bradley. He doesn't have the chin of a Jesse Vargas even. He doesn't have the chin of a Chris Algieri even, you know. So like, Khan doesn't have that chin, so I just see him getting caught numerous times and eventually going down with one of them. But it's a money fight. Let's be real. Like wherever it is, whether it's in the UK or the UAE, I know they haven't determined that. Bob Arum is meeting with Michael Kuntz either today or tomorrow in Las Vegas to figure it out. And it's going wherever the fight is, both guys are going to get paid millions and millions of dollars because for whatever reason, his name still draws, even though he's been knocked out so many times. He's never really been the best, no matter what division he's been in. So for whatever reason, this is a money fight. Pacquiao's at the point of his career where he wants to make money, take easy fights overseas, and not fight top competition in the U.S. or maybe even the U.K. So we're just at this point where it's money fights, it's prize fighting, unfortunately.
I do agree with Naoto, though. I would prefer seeing this fight than Jeff Horn.
100%. 100%. Because Jeff Horn has only beat, Randall Bailey and what was the other guy?
Funeka.
Yeah, you know, so like Jeff Horn has beat nobody. At least Amir Khan has beat some people. You know, let's be real.
Yep. All right. Now, so let's go back to Friday, I think it was, in Canada. Really fun fight. Alvarez versus Bute. Let me give us your thoughts.
I mean, it was a good fight, solid fight. All the way up until the stoppage, I thought it was a 2-2 fight. I mean, I thought each round was pretty competitive. Alvarez was landing pretty good body shots as well as a good right hand upstairs. Lucien Bute was showing a lot of the impressive head speed we've always known him to have, but especially in combination. A lot of very flashy punches. Good stuff up the middle, though. He was able to shoot it really sharp and up the middle and kind of take advantage of some of Alvarez's more hooking tendencies as well. But in the end, it really turned out that Bute he keeps his hands a little bit too low, a little bit too much, and he kind of landed like a left-hand cuffing shot that didn't quite land and kind of was partially blocked by Alvarez, but it's like almost like he hit Alvarez enough but low enough that Alvarez instinctively knew that he didn't have his hand, that Bute didn't have his hand back around his face, and he just shot that right hand around, shot that right hand a second time, and that was all she wrote for Lucien Bute. Lucien Bute got knocked out, vicious knockout in the way that he got dropped. And I mean, Alvarez had shown some power that he hadn't necessarily shown as much in his last few fights. He had been showing it before and looked himself to a really dangerous opponent going into an Adonis Stevenson fight. But he had looked a little bit iffy probably the last year and a half. But I think he put it all together a lot better here against Bute. You know, Bute has never been a guy that go out easy. You know, he gave Groves a tough fight. I mean, he gave DeGale a tough fight. He gave Jack a tough fight, and he was given Alvarez a pretty tough fight all the way up until he got stopped. So, I mean, props to Bute for that, but Alvarez managed to get back to his winning ways, get back to his knockout winning ways, and it looks like the WBC already set up a purse bid for him and Adonis Stevenson. So it looks like he managed to make himself a compelling enough name now finally up in Canada in order to get that big fight and get the good payday for himself. And I think that he poses a fairly good threat to Adonis Stevenson just based off the fact that he's really more of a technically sound boxer, really more of a classical boxer. And I think that's the type of style that could give Stevenson a lot of trouble, because Stevenson tends to be a lot more unorthodox and be able to take advantage of just the fact that, you know, he has good reach, he's really quick, and he has just explosive power. But somebody that's a bit more technically sound, I think, could sharpshoot him on the inside especially. And I think that Alvarez's body work especially is something that he could take advantage of, that Alvarez could take advantage of with regard to Stevenson, because Stevenson hasn't necessarily been hit to the body all that much. And I think that his stamina can be a little bit iffy at times. It's almost like he needs to catch some second wins here and there in some of his fights. So I think he poses a stern challenge. I would still favor Stevenson in the fight just because that explosive power is really hard to deny. And I don't think Alvarez is like a defensive genius or anything, but I think he'll make for a really solid contender, really probably one of the better contenders for a championship belt that we've seen in recent years, especially at light heavyweight.
Yeah, I saw it the same way as you. It was a 2-2 fight until that vicious double right hands that dropped him, and he did get up, but he was kind of out on his feet. I'm glad it got stopped, but up until that point, yeah, it was quite competitive. Bute had his moments where he was throwing combinations on the inside and stepping out, and Alvarez, I've said in the past, I thought he's quite average, kind of does the same things again and again, but he was a lot better in this fight. His counter punching with the right hand and his left uppercut to the body was really good, and yeah, the commentator had an interesting line where he said, in regards to what you were saying about Alvarez not getting any stoppages recently, he said he's had a bit of a power cut, which I thought was quite clever. So yeah, and yeah, he got the knockout. Bute's chin is kind of suspect, but I actually before the fight I was favouring Bute maybe because his performances against DeGale and Jack, I thought maybe his output and his aggressiveness and his body work might be able to get to Alvarez, because like I said, never really rated Alvarez that highly. But yeah, fun fight to watch, Leon. I know you've not seen it, but there's a decent download that I found with good commentary in English, so I'll hook you up if you want it. Matt, did you catch this?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was, in my opinion, probably the more it was the highest. It was the most elite fight of the weekend, in my opinion. And I thought that Naoto was pretty much right on every point that Alvarez was winning 2-2. Just on terms of tactics and technique, I think Naoto nailed it. I think that overall, in a strategy standpoint, Alvarez is such a slow, methodical starter that against guys like Adonis Stevenson, he needs to be the one initiating everything. He needs to be the one throwing higher volume. He needs to be the more active fighter against these elite guys. And I just don't think that's a strategy he is used to, that he employs. So that concerns me at the high level. And also, not necessarily about the fight itself in terms of what happened in the ring, but Alvarez told me a couple weeks ago that there was pretty much no VADA testing. And being a WBC title eliminator, I think that's utter bullshit, that we have this clean testing program and the fight that's going to determine the challenger to the belt, there was no VADA testing. And even if there was for the fight week, because that's possible because I talked to him 2 weeks out, fight camps are 8 weeks. So you need to be testing, not even those 8 weeks, you need to be testing before that. You need to be testing 365, random testing. These fighters need to be tested at least 20 to 30 times a year for us to have any sort of reliable, efficient, clean testing program. And the fact that the eliminator for the belt, one of the most prestigious belts in a way, because the light heavyweight divisions is one of the most prestigious divisions in boxing, and the fact that there was no VADA testing, that utter bullshit. WBC, VADA, fuck you guys, because you guys are a bunch of PR bullshit.
Nice.
Well said.
All right, and one more fight. I don't know if you guys caught it. Our boy Bivol was back, Leon.
Yeah, I saw.
What did you think?
I saw it was back. I didn't see the fight. I've got it loaded up. It hit me hard on Friday, so I haven't caught up.
You misled me. All right. Anyone else got it?
Sorry.
Matt?
Well, I mean, Bivol was fighting a guy that was completely overmatched, so I mean, he won pretty easy. I don't really know how much you could really say about it.
I did not see it.
He did, but I don't know. It's still fun to see him after a while. I do like his little half-step back counters. He's very good with the first and the third, and yeah, his opponent was not that good. But
maybe it's because Lim is such a fan of him. I don't really I don't rate him because Lim is a fan of his.
You a hater.
So, yep.
No, I don't know.
I'll take that one.
That's fair. All right, but I think it was there was the first knockdown. I think like dude kind of stepped in with a lazy jab. Bivol kind of leaned back and hit him with a 3-shot counter, like wobbled him and then finished him off and dropped him. I don't know, man. Sometimes the punches are a bit wide, but he's fun to watch. And they're talking about maybe him and Cleverly next, which I think would be a really good fight. Him and Nathan Cleverly.
Yeah, well, that'd be a unification for the WPA, the interim and the regular. So. And
they are trying to clean it up.
Maybe someday they'll have one title in every division.
We can only hope.
Yeah, but Yeah, I mean, time will tell. I mean, I kind of look at him the way that I look at like Shabransky. I wasn't quite sold on that dude either, and he got totally exposed versus Barrera recently. So it's really tough to tell. He looks pretty good, but I'm not ready to crown the man as like an elite fighter yet.
That's fair. Nothing for something in the chat saying that Bivol iced the man that took Elder Alvarez the distance. What have you got to say to that, Naoto?
Oh, well, I mean, just like you were talking about with Alvarez, that he hasn't looked especially great recently. I mean, that was one of those fights where he didn't look especially great recently. And, I think that Stevenson probably takes care of Alvarez, as I was kind of alluding to. I think that Alvarez will give him a test, but I think that Stevenson will still take care of him. I mean, what do you call it? Shabransky iced Yuneski Gonzalez, who gave Jean Pascal a hell of a fight, too. So,
yep.
I mean, what does that say?
He was willing to take the test, though. That's what he was going to say.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But, all right, I think that's all the fights over the weekend, unless you guys got any little one that I missed to add.
There was a card on Friday, and De La Roche beat, I forget who he beat, but De La Roche looked pretty good. He looked like a very young Peter Quillen in the way he threw, so maybe that's a guy to look at in the future. I forget his first name, but I remember it being De La Roche. He was a good fighter. Should look it up.
Justin DeLoach.
Thank you.
He knocked out Christopher Pearson.
Give us some background on what weights this dude at Southpaw Orthodox. I've never heard of him, to be honest.
So Orthodox, light middleweight / welterweight. He's really a light middleweight.
Yeah, he is.
But go ahead, Matt. I kind of interrupted you.
Good power in that right hand. I mean, he throws at a very straight line, and it's like that vintage young Peter Quillen where people actually thought Peter Quillen was going to be good, and then he just never adapted his game. So hopefully DeRoche does something and adapts his game and improves, because he looks like a good prospect right now.
Nice. Anything else, Naota? Any small dudes fighting?
Actually, yeah. I know. I haven't seen the actual video of it yet because I just haven't gotten my hands on it, unfortunately. But Tatsuya Fukuhara managed to beat Moises Calleros over in Japan to win the interim WBO strawweight title. Supposedly, Katsunari Takayama was supposed to be fighting either one of these two guys or the winner of it, but it's unknown as to whether he's going to move up or he's going to defend his belt or what's going on. So they decided to crown an interim champ in the whole sense of it. Supposedly this was kind of a controversial decision. A lot of people thought that Calleros should have won, but again, it was in Japan. So it looks like Fukuhara might have got the decision, but I haven't seen the video yet, so I can't completely pass judgment on exactly what the case was. But I think, if anything, that these two guys probably rank a clear level below the absolute elite of that division. Knockout CP Freshmart, Manheim Manayo, then Jose Argumedo, pretty much the top guys, as well as Takayama, the aforementioned, because but it's not sure if he's going to be still fighting at 105 or if he might move up to 108. But that was pretty much it for the straw weights and the flyweights and such over the weekend.
Is it Freshmart fighting this week as well, on Wednesday or something?
Yeah, he is. He's fighting an easy opponent though. It's kind of a joke of an opponent for him to be fighting, because he's fighting this guy Go Odaira, who had 2 previous title shots at a strawweight title, one against Manayoten, one against Takayama. Got stopped in both fights, and I mean, I wouldn't even really call him competitive in either of the fights. I mean, he took a beating. He took a strong beating in both of those fights. So, if anything, if knockout CP Freshman doesn't score a knockout in this fight, it's going to be a real disappointment as far as he's concerned.
Doesn't live up to his name.
Exactly.
All right, Leon, Naota, Matt, do you guys want to talk about the Bellew Haye saga? I don't know. Can
I just quickly talk on Khan and Pacquiao?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't get a chance to say. I think that's the best fight we could have expected from Pacquiao, really, in the situation he's in. And to be fair to Khan, I still think Pacquiao's top 2 in that division. Probably still number 1 in that division. So Khan's taken another fight. I know it's all paydays and he's getting paid, but at least he's fucking delivered, where it makes Brooks, going for 50-50 deals and trying to force deals on Khan. But it proves that Khan's willing to make fights because he's been the B-side in his last 2 fights. So Brook did fuck that deal. I don't care what anyone, that's what I believe. I don't know if we'll ever know, but my gut feeling is he fucked that deal.
I'm going to say something controversial, but I would have actually preferred Brook versus Pacquiao.
That's fine, but who's made the fight? Khan's got the fight. So Matchroom and Johnny Nelson, all these people saying that he would never get the Pacquiao fight, me included, and Chemo. You and Steve Welling told me as well, you were both right, and I didn't think he would get it done. But again, he's proven himself willing to make the fight, make it happen, put it on paper. What's Brook done? It was a good victory, sending the Colts to hell.
All right. On to Haye, Bellew. Like I said, the gloves are off was entertaining. I only watched half of Behind the Ropes because as I was watching, they got pulled from YouTube because of copyright grounds. So, is what it is, I guess. But you guys got anything you want to say about this? Obviously, you can predict the fight, but I'm just talking about actually some of these preview shows.
I ain't seen, me, Cam. I'm not watching any of that stuff.
Yeah. Matt, Naota, you guys got anything?
I haven't got a chance to watch them either.
Now, Leon kind of knows this. I've been suckered into this fight. I've been suckered by the hype. I have. I probably watched mainly everything I could. Obviously, just because of the geographic difference, some videos I'm not allowed to watch because I'm not in the right region. But from what I've seen, man, they have sold the fight. For any casual,
yeah, absolutely,
that sees any of this, they're going to watch this fight on Saturday. Like, it's going to be a massive event that's only going to be dwarfed this year by Anthony Joshua Klitschko. I think it's going to be that massive over there in the UK. And I'm not over there. I'm from California, live in California, so maybe I'm wrong. But those two guys know how to sell a fight on their own, and together it's natural chemistry. And they've obviously had beef from a while ago. Does that make me change my perception on how the fight actually goes? No, but I can still love the whole hyping process because it has been fun. And so often in fights, it isn't fun. Think about the whole Deontay Wilder, this whole weekend. We didn't have one fun build-up to any of these fights this weekend. So whenever we do get a fun build-up, and in a sense we get 2 this weekend with Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, because of Daddy Angel going off at the press conference, that made it entertaining in a certain way. And then we get Haye, Bellew having that classic shit-talking dynamic. So I think it's just been an awesome build-up. I thought Eddie Hearn was smart for throwing Bellew up there against Haye, because even when Bellew gets knocked the fuck out, he's going to make a bunch of money, and Bellew still has that title at cruiserweight. So it's a win-win situation. It is.
Yeah. I'm hooked on this fight, Matt. When it first got announced, I was happy because I thought 2 guys I don't really like. Hopefully one will get iced, but I don't know. Seeing all the build-up and all the nonsense, man, I wish it was Saturday tomorrow, to be honest, because I actually just hope that Haye just ices Bellew, because I hate them both, but I hate Bellew a lot more, so.
Really? I kind of wish, Haye would get ice. Low-key. Only because Haye is that guy that legitimately thinks he has the biggest dick in the room. Bellew is the guy that he shit talks because he knows he's in a sense not bum, that's a harsh word, but he knows he's not good. He knows he's a B level, B plus level fighter. So he's shit talking to try to hype himself up. David Haye legitimately thinks that Tony Bellew is this ant who's not deserving of him. He has a huge superiority complex, I feel like. Even though Haye got outclassed by Klitschko, he still thinks he's the biggest dick in the room. But again, it's one of those fights where I am picking Haye. I think he's just overall he's a heavyweight. He's an actual heavyweight. Tony Bellew is not a heavyweight. David Haye's hiatus from the sport and comeback fights do give me pause because he's been put up there against bouncers and plumbers. So who gives a fuck about those fights? I kind of just erase them from my mind because they shouldn't count. So I pick Haye because I think he's going to land the power shots. I think he's still a better boxer, but I do think Bellew is going to look good in the earlier rounds because I don't think Bellew is a bad boxer. I think he's good at least at throwing at combinations. I've never really seen Bellew stick to single shots. Haye sticks to single shots sometimes, so that to me leads some concern for the opening rounds. But I'm still going to pick Haye probably by knockout, maybe round 6 or 5. But it's going to be a good fight, and I think they're going to be shit talking after the fight too. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch in a year or two. In all honesty, would not be surprised.
Leon, initially I thought Haye might just kind of ice him quite early, but the more I think about it, I think Bellew might try and engage early. If he gets caught and doesn't have success, I think he'll just kind of go on the back foot and run, kind of like he did against Adonis, and then Haye will eventually get to him maybe in like the end of the 4th, 5th round, stuff like that. How do you see it playing out?
I was going to say to you, I see it being just like Adonis. Just the same thing. Because as soon as he feels that power, and let's be real, he's never been hit like this in a real fight. Maybe a bit in sparring, but this is a huge jump up in weight for him. Whatever we say, I mean, he's not a big cruiserweight. But have you seen those pictures of him in sparring next to like, it was like a young amateur, and he was next to Chisora?
No, I've not seen it.
You see that picture, and he looked a bit marked up, but he looked small. He looked like a little dude next to Chisora. So I mean, he's gonna look. I think he's just way out. He got no business being up here.
Yep.
And I can only see Haye smashing him to bits, really. Because, yeah, Haye has been away for a while, and he has, he's fought shit. But he did get outclassed by Klitschko, but he took his licks as well. I mean, he ran, but when he got hit, and he got hit clean, he took those shots. Bellew, at every weight division he's fought at, and at the lower levels, has been regularly hurt by people. People he's ended up beating, people he's lost to. He's been hurt. So I just don't see how the weight is going to have to really have helped him to be able to take that shot. And he's not a defensive genius. He'd go for walks down at those weights. I mean, if Haye lands clean on him, he's even half clean on him, he's going to be buzzed.
I can actually see, like, with Coldwell being a close friend of him, I think it might end up like Golovkin and Brook, where they're just going to throw the towel in before we actually see him get iced and dropped. I think it'll be one of those type of situations.
I disagree. I think Haye's going to ice his ass. I think the first clean hard shot that Haye lands, Bellew was going down, and he's staying down. Because Haye, to me, he's bigger than Adonis, he's faster than Adonis, he's stronger than Adonis. He's just a better fighter, period. I mean, he's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, he has more power, he has more punch variety, he has the ability to punch in combination better. I don't think Bellew stands a chance. Even if he tries to run, I think it won't be very long before Haye catches up to him and knocks him the fuck out. And honestly, I think Bellew's hyping himself up so much, I think he's going to stand in there and he's going to get blitzed.
Because look, no one likes Haye. No boxing fan. I mean, like, us Brits over here have given fucking had our money taken off us by him in the past for some of the bullshit he's gone through. But no one's ever said he's a bad fighter. You're not going, oh, this guy's he's kind of a lower level guy. He's a high level guy. Whatever you say, his skill set is just so much bigger and stronger and more skilled than Bellew. I mean, I think it's a mismatch.
Not even just in Bellew, but than everybody that Bellew's ever fought.
Yeah. Put together, he's the best he's the best fighter he's ever fought, and he's he's a weight division he shouldn't be in. We can all agree on that. He does not look like a heavyweight, does he?
No.
No. And I saw that picture that you were talking about too. I know
Yeah,
exactly
he looked
what
small,
you're
didn't he?
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, he did. He looked like a chubby kid, like fighting with. He looked like a chubby, overgrown third grader fighting with fifth graders.
But you know what I mean? Like, Chisora's not a ripped guy, but he looks solid, doesn't he? In that picture, he looks like, that's a big fucking tough dude. Bellew just didn't look like that.
Yeah, no.
All right, let's move on. I forgot to mention a fight that got announced. Similar date to Pacquiao and Khan, if that fight 100% goes ahead. I know there's no venue set yet, but we didn't talk about Martin Murray versus Gabe Rosado. Also, Gabe Rosado.
Oh, man.
Gabe Rosado is back with Billy Briscoe as well. That's like Dipset reuniting. That's like Cameron and Jim Jones getting back together. It's amazing.
The boys are back.
God.
I don't know.
Hey, man, can you say fight of the century, Cam?
I can, but I won't say it for this fight. Leon.
We need that soundbite of that clip, though.
That Billy Briscoe one.
Yeah, that's one of the best corner bits ever, isn't it?
I need to dig that out of the archive.
That's a classic, man.
What type of shit fight is this, though? Come on.
Is this the main event as well?
It seems so, yeah.
This is some bullshit. This is what I mean. This is what Eddie Hearn's doing. He's lowering the standards. I said last week, he's lowering the standards for his standard Sky card. So when he hits you with his next 12 pay-per-views we're probably going to get this year, they're all going to look like a fucking mustard, aren't they? And you're going to go, yeah, I'll buy that.
Leon, look at the undercard. Rocky Fielding versus TBA. Sean Dodd.
No. Rocky Fielding's he's fighting John Ryder.
Oh, he's fighting Ryder?
Yeah, so that's not a bad fight. But that should be a headline fight.
But Sean
the
Dodd's
British
on
level.
I love how they're just using Sean Masher Dodd just to sell tickets.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I'd rather a British title fight be the headliner. Rocky Fielding and Ryder, both names that we reasonably know well. That should be a headline fight. Then Murray. Murray's quickly becoming a Paul Smith, isn't he? Where they're going to fight some fights. They're just trying to get him into another world title fight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Rosado's just being used for his name.
Actually,
he still has one.
Murray should just fight Paul Smith, and then whoever loses retires.
Yeah, we've said that for ages. But, I mean, is this a super middleweight? So is Rosado a super middleweight now?
Let me have a look. It is classed at
It would
middleweight,
have to be, right?
so Murray must be going back down then.
Oh, it is a middleweight?
That's what BoxRec says.
Well, then maybe it's closer if Murray's doing that.
It's weird, man. There was a time Murray saying, taking those extra few pounds out is too difficult. Then they go up, then they get beat up and say, I'll go back down. It's like, well, it can't be too bad then if you're going back down again. Obviously, I've never made weight like that, but it just seems it's convenient excuses to make at the time, and then you're like, well, super middleweight's too big for me. I'll go back down again.
It's strange. I don't know what they're trying. Are they thinking? Are they planning for Golovkin to go or something?
Must be.
I think it's a matter of, it's tough to make weight. I really don't want to take, those final measures that I probably really shouldn't be doing that probably isn't good for my long-term health anyway. So I'll move up. And then they realize I'm really not that good against guys my own size. I'm getting my ass kicked. So I'm going to try and weight bully some more guys again.
Yeah, I don't have
that's really
advantage anymore. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about this fight?
Shit happens, man.
I think it's a bullshit fight. It's one of those fights where I'm gonna watch it because it will be bloody. It's one of those where the Just Bleed fan of me, where I just love violence in a sense. I'll watch it because of that, because this fight's gonna be violent, but it's gonna be sloppy. Both these guys are gonna tire out by the 7th round. I understand Leon's point about the whole main event thing. But I have to admit, from a U.S. fan standpoint, I know Murray and Rosado more than Ryder.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I understand maybe why that is. I mean, especially with Eddie Hearn trying to have more cards be on U.S. television. I know that's a goal of his in this year. So maybe that's the reason why. Maybe they're going to throw it on Showtime as well. And because it's going to be on Showtime, they're going to throw on names that are more well-known. I don't know. These are things that are possible. But it's a shit fight. But I'll watch it because I'm an addict, and I'll sit there and watch a shitty fight no matter what.
Look, that's cool, but I hope you do get the Rocky Fielding Ryder fight. But my problem is that you sometimes hear that you just don't get those fights, do you?
No, I mean
you'll end up getting just the Murray and the Rosado fight. That's like, you know what? People might enjoy the British level fights more, maybe just the hardcores, but you know what I mean.
You know, Davey Boy Essex will have it on YouTube though.
Yeah.
Molina card. I remember because they showed it on Showtime as well. The only fights they showed from that card, other than the Joshua Molina fight, was the Katie Taylor fight, and that was on tape delay. It wasn't even the live fight, so they didn't show the Dylan White versus Chisora fight. That was the co-main event, and I was so pissed off because I remember sitting there watching Showtime, thinking that was going to be on, and then it was Katie Taylor, and I was like, okay, maybe the Chisora fight hasn't started yet. And then my phone started getting blown up with, tweets and all that shit saying how insane that fight was going down. And I was like, thanks, Showtime. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. I get to see Katie Taylor in her third fight against somebody that shouldn't be fighting her instead of Dylan White versus Chisora, which is a much more competitive fight. But oh well.
Yeah, that's that's the thing I've noticed about when those Sky cards have gone over there. It's just like, you get the main event and that's it. It seems a shame. But, because we get Box Nation over here, so sometimes, Matt, we'll get more fights than you do. In the US, we'll get like 5 or 6 fights sometimes, won't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one good thing about Box Nation. It's just like, all right, just no flashy bullshit. Here it is. We'll just stick it on. But, no, so for a British thing, it's just like, I don't want to see Murray as Rosado as a headline card, but that's just me being, kind of localized.
Yeah, just for all the people in the States as well, this Tony Bellew Haye card, I don't know how much of the card, but it's apparently on AWE for anyone who has that channel, so you'll be able to watch it there.
AWE?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, formerly known as the Wealth Network.
That's weird. Have they ever shown boxing?
Yeah, they quite often pick up. Yeah, they quite often pick up the Matchroom Sky cards.
How have I not known that? Okay.
Come on, Matt.
And
you're slacking.
I've been doing these streams for this long, and it's on HD on my television. I'm pissed right now.
I just ruined
do you
Matt's
have
night.
that? Because a lot of people can't get that over there. Like it's got a cut-off point. Didn't it have a cut? Is that right now? Some people signed up.
Yeah, well, they had like an online streaming subscription thing, and then eventually they stopped giving it out. And mine expired, and then I went to go re-sign up, and nope, you can't do it anymore. I'm like, what the fuck?
But I've heard, and I watched it once before, they'll show you 3 minutes of whatever's on. So if you time it well, you can. They'll show you a preview of 3 minutes of a round, and then you press refresh. Someone showed me that trick, and it worked once, but then I wasn't able to get it again. I think they started geo-locking it. Yeah. So maybe try that.
You might need a VPN or something, but yep.
So what else is on this Bellew card, Cam? What other
Obviously, we talked about Dan's favourite boxer, Paulie Malignaggi versus Sam Eglinton. I like Sam, but this is a bit of a shit fight, man.
I hope Sam destroys him.
Yeah, so same here, but he won't.
I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win, but he won't destroy him. Come on, Paulie. Paulie's a fat 147 right now. Let's be real.
Leon, do you think Paulie...
Yeah. He's not fat, man.
I've seen some pictures. He's looking pretty heavy.
No, but him being pretty heavy as in him at 147. He every time he goes into that ring, he's definitely ripped. But, I mean, it's one of those things where, 140 was the perfect weight class for him because, he was really big for the weight, really, if you want to be completely honest about it, regardless of him not being really a strong guy or a physically powerful guy, and having brittle-ass hands.
Leon, do you think Paulie can beat Sam? Because Sam can get schooled by a boxer.
Well, yeah, look, you got to think about it. I would pick Skeet to beat Paulie, So I think Skeet's better than Paulie now.
Yeah, but is Paulie...
Yeah, but I think that's what I'm worried that it happens again, Cam.
I actually can see it, man, because obviously Paulie's a really good commentator. He's going to go watch him back back and watch that Skeet fight, and he's gonna see what he needs to do. And he doesn't have to do much, man. He just got to move on the back foot and kind of just out jab him and just work him.
But Skeet was very good that night.
No, he was. His concentration level was excellent, but I don't know, Sam. If the guy's in front of you, he's decent, but if the guy's moving away backwards, he's very basic, man. I don't know. I like Sam, but I could see him kind of getting schooled by Paulie, you know.
I'd be interesting. I think Paulie's easier to catch than Paulie's not this defensive master he's made out, because he's been smashed to bits numerous times, you know. So I think he's there to be hit, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, somewhat. You have to be really willing to press forward and cut off the ring pretty quick, and be willing to take some shots on the way in as well, though. So.
Well, I think there's no issue with Sam in that front.
Yeah. I just don't think that he has the overall ability to do it, to be honest with you.
So you're picking Paulie?
Yeah.
I'm picking Sam. Fuck it.
Yeah, I'm picking Sam to win. Probably a unanimous decision. I think he's going forward pressure. He's going to dig to the body. Paulie doesn't have the wheels like he used to. Paulie doesn't have the cardio like he used to. Paulie's old, man. Like, that's just the nature of the game. Paulie hasn't looked good in years. And Sam Eggington is not a top-level boxer, 100%. He doesn't have insane power. Defensively, he's not there 100%, but I think he's young enough, he's durable enough to walk forward and win rounds. And I think he's going to do it on Saturday night. Yeah.
I'm not making a pick until I find out who the ref is or who the judge is, because if the name Ian John Lewis crops up, then I'm picking Eggington.
Oh yeah, that's a for sure right there.
That's a given. All right, rest of the undercard.
Yeah, if Ian John Lewis is the judge, then yeah, I'm changing my pick.
Leon, we got O'Hara Davis versus Derry Matthews, man. I like Derry, but he's on the way out. Like, Luke beat him up. O'Hara's got ridiculously long arms, kind of freakishly long. Looks like an alien, to be honest. But I don't know. I picked O'Hara to beat him, but if he goes to the body, he'll probably stop Matthews. But I don't think he will. Davis kind of headhunts, so I think it kind of be like a 12-rounder, like O'Hara's last fight he had against Scarpa. I think it'd be a similar fight to that, to be honest.
Yeah, I see. I mean, O'Hara seems to piss a lot of people off, doesn't he? So I don't think he's the most popular person because he talks some hell amount of shit. But I think Derry back in the day, this would have been a good fight. But I just worry that he's fragile now.
Yeah, he's definitely on the slide. Naoto, Matt, you guys give a shit about this fight?
Not really.
Not particularly. I mean, I'll probably watch it in the midst of watching the card, but I don't have much to offer insofar as a preview.
Not have highlighted or anything like that. It's not one I'm going to take notes during.
I totally understand why you wouldn't care about this, to be honest. But Selby's also on this. He got a pass from the IBF to have a non-title fight. It's a 10-rounder against...
Who cares?
Antonio Gago. I don't care. Matt, Naoto, do you guys care?
No.
At least Selby needs to fucking fight somebody, man.
I heard the frustration in Naoto's voice then.
Look, these people don't fight enough to be getting let off and given non-title fights.
I know.
That's for shit. That's shit for back in the day when these people were fighting once a month.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not for now. You're champion now. You don't muck around with this shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
At least put your belt on your line, man. Put the belt on the line, because we don't know what shape you might turn up in.
And Lee Selby's last opponent that he was supposed to fight, I think, was Jonathan Barros. Like, that wasn't a bad opponent. That's the thing. Like, why did they have to change the opponent to this guy who is god awful? I mean, that's the part that makes no sense to me, because his last opponent, they were scheduled to fight, that they couldn't make the fight for whatever legal reasons.
Well, and even Barros wasn't that great of an opponent. He's a guy that's been exposed and knocked out before. Definitely. If anything, this screams like, you know what, I'm not even going to bother making featherweight. This is a non-title fight anyway. I'll make 130 and beat this scrub up, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty poor. Katie Taylor's on their third professional fight. And Ted Cheeseman as well, who who I still haven't seen box. I don't believe he's the actual person. I think he's just a name that's always on their schedule. So we'll have to see if I ever get to see Ted Cheeseman fight. Moving on, Thurman-Garcia card, decent 3. I guess it's going to be 3 televised fights. Obviously Garcia versus Thurman, Eric Lubin's fighting Jorge Cota, and Fonfara, who we talked about last week. That when someone gets knocked out, they go to Virgil Hunter. He's fighting Chad Dawson, which I actually think might be a good fight. I was a fan of Chad back in the day, but he just kind of gone into the wilderness, especially after that loss to Carpentier when he hurt his hand and kind of got outboxed and then lost there. And yeah, I don't know. I hope he makes a comeback because I've always been a fan. But starting off with Garcia Thurman, I know Dan was giving his points before. So, Leon, how do you see this fight playing out and who you picking?
I think it's a close fight on paper, isn't it? I think you'd say it's a 50-50 fight. The stuff that Dan was saying, I kind of agree with. I kind of lean to Garcia just because I don't trust Thurman. And one thing, my dislike of Danny Garcia is out there. I'm not a particularly big fan of him. I think his dad's a moron. But he can take a punch and he will stick in there. I mean, I thought he's lost numerous fights, but he's always been in the fight. He's never getting smashed around, smashed to bits, is he? So I think he's got that going for him. So I think he's a tougher guy than Thurman. Like, I think he's just a kind of more, just a tougher guy. And I just think he'll do enough and land enough shots. And the shots he does land, I think Thurman's one of those guys, he doesn't look good when he gets hit. I think stuff can go against him. Like, he'll back off. And if Garcia looks like he's the guy coming forward, I think he nicks it on the cards.
Naota, your thoughts?
I've kind of said it all along ever since this fight was signed. I think that even though Keith Thurman is really the more versatile fighter, he can do more things in there than Garcia can. I think really he's at his best when he's at the mid-range. But the mid-range is where Garcia excels. And, like, he's damn near unbeatable if somebody just stands there and tries to hook with him. And unfortunately for Thurman, I think that's going to wind up being what he actually does in there. I think Garcia is really good at catching and shooting. Thurman, I think if he's able to kind of smother Garcia on the inside, I think he has a better chance. Or if he's able to kind of make Garcia give chase to him, I think he might be able to stand a better of a chance, especially if he mixes up those two styles. But to me, Thurman, I don't really know if he's able to really stick to a game plan for a full 12. He's a guy that just kind of goes in there and just kind of adjusts and does whatever on the fly. But even doing that, I don't think it necessarily suits him. I think Garcia sticks to a game plan a bit better. And honestly, I think Garcia, if and when he catches Thurman, he's going to hurt Thurman worse than if Thurman catches him. I think that Garcia's chin is a bit better proven than Thurman's, and I think Thurman's body is a bit of a liability too. So if Garcia starts to go to the body, it could get real ugly for him as well there. And I could even see him potentially putting Thurman down with the same shot that he actually put Rod Salker down with, where it's like he went to the body, then he went to the head. And I could easily see him making Thurman drop his guard in order to catch him with that clean left hook to the head. But it's not like I'm counting Thurman out of this fight. I think it's absolutely a 50-50 fight. I do think Thurman has enough power to wear down Garcia late and potentially stop him, but I don't necessarily actually see that particular game plan actually playing out. I think, if anything, Garcia is going to be able to land the more telling shots overall. And I'm not sure if he's going to win by decision or by a stoppage. I'm pretty 50-50 on that. So I'd say Garcia either by a very close decision, a close like unanimous decision, or a late knockout. And who knows, he might even be down on the cards when that knockout happens. But I think it's going to be a really tight fight.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, I was in Keith Thurman's camp last week, so I may be a little bit biased just because I've seen his last preparation up close. I've seen what shape he's in. Like, for instance, this is the first camp where he had a strength and conditioning coach for the entire camp. that's pretty interesting to me. And the first time he ever implemented this coach was in the Luis Collazo fight for only 2 weeks before that fight. So I think we've seen a Keith Thurman that's really on natural talent for most of his career. And I think, like Leon and Naota said, Thurman can do more. Thurman can fight on the back foot. He can fight coming forward. He can fight in the phone booth. Yes, there's a question of durability in a sense. But, I mean, Collazo has sneaky power, so I don't really blame him for that one, to be honest. For a guy to ice Sammy Vasquez like that, I give Luis Collazo that sneaky power sort of factor. I don't see Garcia's power translating up to 147. He wasn't able to hurt certain guys that he's fought. He didn't really even rock Robert Guerrero in any significant way from what I remember of that fight. Keith Thurman, to me, hurt Robert Guerrero a little bit more. I think Keith Thurman, from what he told me and from what his coach told me, Dan Birmingham, their plan is to be on the back foot. Their plan is to counterbox, to make Danny Garcia chase him. And I think Danny Garcia is so open to counters, and Danny Garcia, and so often in the fight, doesn't pull the trigger, in my opinion. He'll just sort of walk forward, wait to throw a counter, wait to time you, but he's waiting. He's waiting more than he's actually throwing in fights. And that always concerns me, whoever you are. If you're waiting for a long period of time for your opponent to do something that you're going to count off of, that concerns me. I think Keith is going to land that jab at will. I think he's going to frustrate him, make Danny Garcia overextend himself and get caught with that right hand over and over again. I can see a late round stoppage for Keith Thurman, to be honest. I've never been super high on Danny Garcia. I am a little bit biased against him because of his father. Let's just be honest. I'm not a fan of his father at all. I think he's talented, but I think Keith is more talented. I think he has more tools in his toolbox. I think he has more gears than Danny Garcia has shown. Yes, Danny Garcia is probably the more tougher fighter. He's the more durable fighter. But to me, Danny Garcia isn't a fighter. Danny Garcia is a really good boxer in a sense. Even on the what Dan was alluding to in the reveal by Showtime with Mark Kriegel, Danny Garcia basically said, if it wasn't for my dad, I would not be boxing right now. So in my opinion, he's not a guy that does this because he loves it. He doesn't do this because this is a passion. He does this because his dad pushed him to it. Because his dad wanted to live vicariously through his son. And for all intents and purposes, Danny Garcia was actually really talented at this thing. I just don't see the passion. When I was hearing Keith Thurman talk about this fight, talk about the sport, talk about boxing, face to face, there was this intensity, this the passion for the sport is there with Keith Thurman. I've never really felt that with Danny. Again, those are intangibles. We really can't judge how a fight goes off of that. But that's just my interpretation of what I've seen from both guys. I think Keith is a more diverse boxer. He's going to land that right hand after he makes Danny chase him. He's going to win the fight late round stoppage, maybe 10th or 11th round.
Matt, at any point did you want to ask Thurman why he says welterweights?
Like his pronunciation of that weight class?
Yep.
No, I didn't think about that at all.
Next time
he went off on Vada, though, and you saw it. I think we should have a video on that out soon for TBV, but he went on like a 30-minute rant about how like Vada, USADA, like all these testing agencies are bullshit, how the sanctioning bodies are bullshit. Like it was insane. I'll put it that way.
Wow, crazy. For the fight, for me, I'm not a fan of Danny. I think he's regressed over the years. I think his last good performance was against Matisse way back in 2013. And I think, as you said, Matt, I think he'll just be on the back foot, picking his punches, making Danny chase him. Danny's got terrible footwork usually. He can't kind of walk a guy down. I actually think it'll be kind of one-sided until maybe the 6th, 7th round. And I think either Danny will finally find his timing or Keith will kind of just momentarily have a lapse in concentration, get caught, get hurt, possibly dropped, survive it, and then just get through the rest of the fight, making it a closest fight just because he took the remainder rounds off because he was kind of still wary or hurt. So because of that, I'd say it's close, but I could see it actually being also one-sided and kind of almost 11-1 kind of fight. I really don't rate Danny that much. He has got really good timing and his power is still there, but if you look through his resume since that Matisse fight, there's so many asterisks next to the fight names. Herrera kind of lost it. Malignaggi, that was a shitty kind of fight. The last few,
Peterson beat him.
Yeah, Peterson. I thought the Guerrero fight was more competitive than it should have been. He should have beat Guerrero quite easily. And then he fought Samuel Vargas, non-title fight. You're WBC champion. Why do you need a warm-up fight to fight Keith Thurman? Rod Salka, that was horrendous. So he has gone backwards in my opinion. So I hope Keith ends him. I'm a fan of Keith. I actually liked when he talked about pay-per-view platform and the fact that when he was growing up, he didn't have pay-per-view channels and he didn't have, Showtime or HBO, and he's glad that his fight is on CBS where it's available to more people. So I actually like that attitude. Whether that continues, if he does become the next star in boxing and kind of takes Floyd's mantle, but it probably
I'll put that. He drives a Prius, man. And he always says, my Prius is undefeated. He doesn't get speeding tickets in his Prius. So, this is a guy that, literally makes his own meals of, granola and nuts and berries. And, he literally can play the flute and, the violin and stuff like that. Keith Thurman's a hippie. He is. For all intents and purposes, he is a hippie. And, so I don't think and he even talked about that when I was down there, about how he doesn't want to be on pay-per-view. That's the last thing he wants. He loves being on CBS. He loves being on Fox and these big primetime cable networks, because in his opinion, that's where, like you said, that's where he saw boxing, and that's where he thinks the future of boxing is supposed to be. So he even told me that he called Al Heyman up 6 months ago and was like, "I want to fight Danny on free TV." So I mean, I don't think that's going to change, even if he gets bigger, even if he beats Danny. I think he's going to continue to try to be on CBS, Fox, NBC, and such. The most he's going to be on is probably Showtime, which is premium cable. I don't see him being pay-per-view.
Anyone else regarding this fight that you want to add anything to?
Yeah, I just want to add, I think, I go on about it all the time. Peterson definitely beat Danny. And I said it a couple of weeks ago. I think if Thurman can do what Peterson did, I think he got a good chance, and that is moving backwards, being on the back foot for the first 6 or 7 rounds, because then he can walk him down after that. But my problem with Danny is I've gone against him so many fucking times, Cam.
Yeah.
And there's something intangible about that dude, man. I mean, even if he's getting some dodgy decisions, but also when it comes to the real... I know it's a long time ago, but he's still got something about him where he can step his game up in the right circumstances. And I just don't trust it not to... I want Keith to win, but he's been fucking doing this to me for how long now? Since he first started, he's been fucking, breaking people's coupons, doesn't he, and stuff. So, I mean, there's something about him. And that's all mumbo-jumbo shit, but that's all I'm saying, That's why I'm picking Danny, hoping that I can bring my L's, which I seem to be made of at the moment, to him.
You're trying to do a reverse curse.
Yeah, reverse curse, exactly.
Yeah, fingers crossed then.
Yeah, because I think Keith is clearly a much nicer person. Keith's a dude you want to hang out with. Danny, I've got no fucking interest in,
Yeah. All right. Undercard wise, you guys know how I feel about Erickson Lubin. Jorge Cota, I don't really know much about, so I can't really talk about him. Naota, Matt, you guys know much about his opponent?
His only loss was a knockout by Marco Antonio Rubio a few years back. But other than that, I mean, he's not a bad fighter. He scored a couple of upsets last couple of years. Beat Yadel Johnson, former Cuban amateur standout recently. So he's a guy that is flawed enough that Lubin should be able to outbox him, but I say should in major quotations because Cotto has a serious knockout record. He has 22 knockouts and 25 wins. So if Lubin, does some Jarrett Hurd shit out there, he might be looking up at the lights.
I haven't seen his opponent at all, to be honest. But I like Erickson Lubin. I think Lubin can even go in and beat Jarrett Hurd right now. I'm really high on Erickson Lubin overall. I don't think this is a quality co-main event or even a quality undercard. Yes, we have obviously Andre Fonfara versus Chad Dawson. Mara Barros is fighting on the card against Yardley Suarez. Sergey Lepinets is on the card. Heather Hardy's on the card, but it's kind of a poor card overall.
Well, they're all clear favorites, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. There's no competitive fights other than the main event, in my opinion.
They're big names, not compelling fights.
Yep.
That is well said. Anyone get?
But are they not just spending all the money on Danny and? Isn't this the kind of this is the kind of the price you pay for being on free TV sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, it's on CBS, so I mean, it's not like they're really. It looks like going for the gusto in terms of putting a whole lot into the main card. In spite of the fact that they kind of did last week, I guess, with Fox, really.
But CBS,
I thought those fights were way more compelling.
CBS is the one network that actually pays PBC.
Oh,
PBC is not paying to be on this time slot, unlike the Fox card with Wilder. They actually have to pay Fox to be in that time slot. Because of CBS's ownership of Showtime, there's a connection there. So they actually pay Al Heyman and PBC, and I think whoever the promoter is, I think it's Lou DiBella, to actually be on this time slot. So
that's different.
They should have actually more money for this card. Yeah. And if the payout is similar to the Sean Porter payout when Keith fought him, that they're only wasting maybe $2 or $3 million on this fight. So that leaves up another maybe million or two for the rest of the undercard. You can make a better undercard, in my opinion. You take out fight, and you add
significantly,
and you can just add another good bout. I remember when they were talking about the Better Be Barrera fight being on this card. That would be
that would be
my buck.
Yeah, and matter of fact, I mean, you could get that fight for cheap too, relatively.
And is CBS that's in every household? You could go and plug a TV in, and then CBS would be there.
Exactly. It's a BBC channel.
Yeah, like ITV. Yeah, okay.
Naota, do you think this will do big numbers?
Naira, you can go first.
Honestly, it's really tough for me to tell. Garcia seems to be a pretty good ratings draw, generally speaking, from what I remember in the past. And I mean, I think him versus Thurman is a pretty compelling fight. So I mean, I think it potentially could, yeah.
What's big though? What's the line? Is it Earl Spence number, that $6 million? If it reaches that or above, is that big?
I mean, I'd say in like the 1.5, 2 million. I'd say that's.
You think that's the view big. It does, or that's big?
Well, a little bit of both.
I don't think that's big at all. I mean, for Keith Thurman's debut fight on PBC, I think it was on NBC, and he had Adrian Broner on the undercard. That did 3.3 million average, and he's done better view rates since then on the big networks at least. I remember with the Sean Porter fight on CBS, that did 4.2 million, I believe.
Really? Okay, yeah. See, I wasn't even aware that
so
they were doing
numbers if it does
that high.
That's bad. Yeah. So I say this does anywhere between 4 to 5 million. And that's
it should do better than Porter then, because I mean the Porter fight was as good as it was, and usually your last fight sells your next fight, so it should do better than that.
I'm just looking at the Porter figures. They're saying it averaged 3.1 and peaked at just under 4. Oh,
the peak was under 4. My bad.
Yeah.
All right, so if anything, if it averaged 3.1 peaked under 4, I'd say this will probably average 3.5 peak in maybe the mid 4s.
Yeah, and I just don't see it doing bigger than that because one, the promotion hasn't really been there. I've seen the same commercial maybe 4 or 5 times for this fight, and and it's a very bare bones commercial. There's no emotion behind it. All it really is that very small snippets of the press conference, and it wasn't even like the juiciest parts. I'm using air quotes there, because a lot of people, me including, have a very negative viewpoint of what Angel Garcia said on that press conference. But that's the juiciest part, and they can't even use that on regular TV to sell the fight. So it's, in my opinion, if the promotion was better, if there was more online awareness of this fight, like for instance, I don't think they even showed one commercial during the Oscars, and there's 32 million people, at least 32 million TVs are set with people watching the Oscars live, and they didn't throw a single commercial in there. Same with the Super Bowl. There was not a single commercial for Garcia Thurman. So like stuff like that really bothers me. If you want to get that 6 million plus view rate for this fight, you need to really promote the fight heavily. The only reason Earl Spence got that view rate is because they literally came on right after the U.S. men's basketball team Olympic game, and that features players like LeBron James, massive mega stars in this country.
A lot of that too is it's like you leave the TV on after.
Yeah, 100%. But like that was I haven't seen any smart promotional, savvy promotion for this fight. So I don't think it's going to blow any of us away with the viewership.
Yeah, done. You're back. Your co-workers are going to think you're a cigarette addict.
How do you guys? What if those people were there to watch the Spence fight and not the basketball game? How do you guys know that? I mean, Errol Spence is a bigger name than LeBron James, right?
He's a superstar.
He's a superstar. No, I'm kidding, guys. No. Yeah, I kind of echo their sentiments. I mean, this fight is on CBS, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you're gonna put it on CBS, and why not do the work then? You already have some kind of foundation in terms of what you guys were able to do with Porter versus Thurman, and I mean, I guess CBS was satisfied enough to kind of redo it, but I kind of agree, man. If you're going to take this next step, why not just go all out and try to make something more substantial? And I don't know, like I've recently heard that Showtime ratings have done better, which is positive news because I know they had some pretty poor numbers, but it seems like Showtime and CBS, they're doing pretty well collectively, but like for me, like I remember this fight a couple years ago. This fight was fucking huge, and it seems like now it's kind of curtailed a bit. I mean, do you guys feel that way as well? Like it's just not as big of a fight as like I first recalled it being.
Totally
it took
agree.
too long to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I mean, other fighters have risen up and such like that. You got a lot of people think really Errol Spence is probably the best fighter at welterweight, for instance. Or that Spence versus Brook would be the best fight at welterweight. So it's not as compelling as it might have been before.
Similar to like the Porter Thurman fight, initially there was that buzz, and then there was the delay, and then when it actually happened, even though the hardcore still were happy about it, it did lose a bit of luster to it.
And I just think that's Keith Thurman in general, man. I know, Matt, you have a connection with Keith after seeing him in camp, and Keith used to be one of my favorite prospects. I put him like vis-a-vis Triple G. And then his career it didn't plummet, obviously. He's still a top-level fighter. But what I'm saying is when he was first coming out of the woodworks, I thought he was going to be more famous and popular than Triple G was. And it just kind of goes to show you his performances. They weren't lackluster by any means. But like I just think in certain fights, like certain chinks of his armor were exposed. And then just unfortunate circumstances in his career has led him to be inactive. But to tell you the truth, like coming out of the gate, he should have been on the same level as Triple G because HBO was pushing the fuck out of this guy. I remember when he fought Zavik, like the first time he ever came out on HBO. Like this guy's such a killer. This guy was such a killer that I thought he was going to be a monster at 154. Like I thought there was no way in hell he could have made 147. And then he makes his entire fortune at 47. So he just has a fascinating career, man. I like Keith a lot. I think he's a very, very interesting human being, and if you just watch some of his interviews, he's a very cerebral person. So I hope he gets his victory. I hope he knocks the fuck out of Danny, and he gets some of that shine back to his name, like he had initially, because people were fucking scared of this guy when he first came out of the woodworks, and now it seems
you burn money, right, Dan?
KOs
Yeah,
for
he
life.
he also shopped at TJ Maxx, unfortunately, but that's another story. But I just think this guy had so much hype initially, and I don't know if what I'm saying really resonates with you guys, because you guys obviously don't live in the States, but I remember like very vividly when this guy first came out on HBO. They were really, really pushing this guy very hard.
Oh
When
yeah,
he met Ollie, that was huge. Like that became a meme in the boxing world when he went at
Yeah,
Paulie.
you better not duck me, son.
And I think
And
that,
like I was alluding to, all the way up until the we burn money thing. Like he had a lot of hype behind him all the way up until that Bundu fight, and then it seemed like that fight was the beginning of like his downfall in terms of like name value.
oh yeah, because I think all the podcasts from all around the place, as soon as he started coming through, he was the kind of a fan's favorite. We were all expecting big things, and it's like you said, as soon as he started that burn money thing, that weigh-in that night, it kind of just that Bundu fight. After that, it just kind of like no one knew why he fought like that against him, because there was a guy to be iced. That's KOs for life, right?
He said we burn money, and then when they asked him why he didn't fight Errol Spence, he said Errol Spence doesn't have enough names on his resume. And I was like, come on, bro. You can't go down that route.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to be fair, this was Errol a couple fights ago, before he had the Algeria fight, but still. This guy was building his name as a guy who wouldn't duck anybody. I'm not saying that he ducked Errol. I'm just saying that he gave like PC answers coming from a guy that never gave them prior to that.
Yeah, but look, if he knocks out Garcia, he's the hardcore's favourite again, So, like, he knows what's on the line with his fight. This is a win. This is a real big win for him if he can make this happen.
Well, I mean, especially if he knocks him out, if he knocks Garcia out, that's a huge win. Because I mean, say what you want about the Herrera and the Peterson fights, neither of them blitzed Garcia the way that if Thurman is potentially able to do, that's a huge statement for him.
Danny has a granite chin.
Exactly.
I don't care what anybody says, but that Matisse coming up to that fight was a fucking boogeyman. The way that he starched Lamont Peterson, that guy was not to be fucked with. And Danny just took a soul.
Yeah, but then Peterson looked like he might have been able to stop him in that fight in that last couple of rounds. So, I mean,
if anything, I'd say that has more to do with stamina and him making that catch weight, though, too.
144, yeah.
No, I mean, it just goes to show you how fascinating the sport is. I mean, because the thing is, Danny still beat Matisse. And say what you will about Danny versus Peterson, that was still a relatively close fight, whereas Peterson got fucking annihilated by Matisse.
Yeah.
That wasn't
the triangle theory.
So I think what I'm trying to say is that out of all of those guys, and maybe even including Keith, like Danny is just a very kind of, again, nothing about him really shines, or nothing about him really is that enticing, but he just gets the job done. Even by by crook a couple of times, say what you will, but I still think he's a very kind of well-rounded fighter.
There's something I was saying earlier, Dan. He's got something about him when it comes to these fights. I mean, it's what is it, luck, or is it heart, or what these things? But he wins fights, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I mean the other thing too is
and you got to give his dad props for that. Say what you will about Angel, but he's a great father.
That's a whole nother discussion.
I'm fucking around. No, it's a good fight. I can't wait. Who's on the undercard? Might ask.
Fanfare versus Dawson and Lubin versus Jorge Cota.
Heather Hardy.
Lubin's fighting Heather Hardy? Okay. Sorry, who's Lubin fighting that?
This kind of an unknown fighter named Jorge Cota, but he's a guy with like an 85% knockout ratio, so dangerous.
Is he Japanese?
No, he's a Mexican.
Oh. Heather Hardy. Oh, bless her. Who's Heather Hardy fighting?
Some chick.
Some chick that slipped on her shoes.
So just to confirm, she's not fighting Erickson Lubin.
No.
She's not fighting Erickson Lubin.
Yeah, Fanfare versus Chad Dawson as well. Done.
Sergey Lepkin.
That's hard. Who are you guys picking on that Dawson fight?
Fanfare.
Damn. You guys remember when Dawson was the beast?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let's be real. Like, if Dawson went in there and knocked Fanfare out, would we be shocked?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Dawson beats him. I don't know about not.
No, not at all.
I've noticed anyone that.
Fanfare is really not that good. But it's just that. Exactly what you're saying, Lim. He's
so
fallen
good.
a long way from then.
Like, he has
if
the
you go to
Andre Spur Virgil Hunter in his corner. Like, maybe Fonfara has the secret juice now. Maybe, Virgil Hunter's going to get in there and be like, you can do it, boy. It's okay. You got
Don't let it get away.
One more round. I don't know. He has the whisperer in his corner. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, he's done a lot of great work.
Now you're starting to make me think that Chad Dawson's going to beat his ass. Like, honestly, now that you mentioned that.
But you got to remember that Hunter's done all that good work with Triple G, hasn't he? Did you see that on Fox?
That was awful. Holy
No. What did he say?
Fox?
No, on Fox.
The thing said that Virgil Hunter was the trainer of Gennady Golovkin, and he former trainer of Andre Ward. And plus, they spelled like Detroit wrong. They spelled like different names of cities wrong. Fox on their A game, man. It was a struggle to watch.
That's embarrassing shit, though, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter. As long as I can watch my Fox News, I'm happy.
Not dragging me down that hole.
That's right, Dan.
Just all jokes aside.
Apologies.
Just quickly.
Yeah, but dude, I think Virgil might have the bummiest stable of boxers in boxing right now.
No, Dan.
Think about it.
All jokes aside, though, when people first go to Virgil, I think that I've not had the same issue. I think they find it hard to adjust. So, with Fonfara fighting Dawson as his first fight with Virgil, I think he's going to be a bit kind of caught between styles. Some of the defensive stuff that he's been teaching him, and I could actually see Chad winning this.
Like I agree, Cam. I don't judge trainers anymore because I think that's such a difficult thing to assess. Because first of all, they know a shitload more than us, and I think fighting is such an intricate sport that a trainer can only do so much. It's almost like what kind of motivator are they? Like certain guys are more skilled at the X's and O's, and other guys are just better motivational speakers. Other people are just better psychologists. Like it's really hard to judge someone.
Some guys are really good trainers at like getting you ready, getting you conditioned to actually fight, and then some guys are really good when the heat is on and you're actually in the fight itself.
Right, but then there's
there's some guys that don't do good at the other.
Right, but there's a rare few who can do all of them just impeccably, and that's someone like Billy Briscoe, who's training Gabe Rosado now again. That's somebody.
Back.
Right. No, but in a more serious note, like I just think with Virgil, I think all of these guys, they come to him with the expectation that they're going to change overnight. And with all of the fighters that I've seen, at least with Virgil, their first couple of fights, they don't look good. Yeah. Even though Khan won his first 2 to 3 welterweight fights with Virgil, it was a version of Khan that I fucking hate. And the version of Khan that's never going to beat anyone elite by just not throwing punches, which is his biggest asset. Guys like Berto, who looked like crap after his first couple of fights with Virgil. Fucking did Marius even have a single fight with Virgil?
I don't think he did,
And then who else is on that stable? Oh, Kid Chocolate. Well, we know how that experiment is going to go. But I just think regarding Fonfara, I mean, it's a really difficult thing to do. I mean, it seems like Virgil tries to teach defense so much at the expense of his fighter's offense, and if that's your biggest strength, like, is it really worth it to become a more defensively sound fighter if you have to let go of your greatest strength?
Totally agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that a lot of these guys that are really more heavily offensive fighters wind up actually going to train with him.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just think it's the Bay Area, I mean, the Bay Area is just a hot place to be right now, which is the reason why I came up here. It's just, the tech scene, you want to invest in your life after boxing, and
yeah, it's like console in Zoolander, right?
Yeah, it's so hot right now. Yeah.
Yep.
For anyone interested, you can buy into Daniel's company. It's called Pied Piper.
A Pied Piper. I'm Jin Yang from Pied Piper.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap it up? Touching 3 hours.
No, I'm good.
I just wanted to mention also in Thailand. In Thailand,
Lord.
WBC flyweight championships on the line. The vacant version, the one that Chocolatito vacated, Naupan Kaikana versus Juan Chorritos Hernandez Navarrete. Really good fight between these two guys. Kaikana, honestly, he actually might be the best fighter out of Thailand. He's a really solid fighter. Pretty tall guy for a flyweight. He's like 5'5", 5'6". Undefeated, 36-0 with 28 knockouts. Juan Hernandez, he's 33-2. One of those losses came to Kazuto Yoko, who's actually one of the other flyweight champions. So, I mean, this is really two top-level flyweights, getting it done. Chorritos Hernandez kind of reminds me of almost like a little bit of a Carlos Cuadras type style, albeit not with the same, pizzazz, not the same overall level of ability, I don't think. He's not as quick as Cuadras or necessarily have the same power. He's a little bit of a smaller guy, really. But Kaikana, I think, is a really solid fighter. I slightly favor him to win, but I think that Hernandez's style is going to be really difficult for him. But all things being equal, they are fighting in Thailand. I do favor Kaikana slightly, and so if anything, I think that he'll probably win a reasonably clear decision on the scorecards. But I think it'll be a fairly competitive fight. Hernandez has a good style, fun to watch, and Kaikana might be somebody that we may see stateside sometime in the future, because I could very easily see him moving up to super flyweight and potentially fighting the likes of Naoya Inoue, Chocolatito, etc. But this is his first big step-up test to see exactly what he's got.
And Naoto on Thursday in Tokyo, Yamanaka's facing Carlos Carlson for his WBC.
Yeah, the clear best fighter in the bantamweight division, Shinsuke Yamanaka. He's definitely proved that over the last couple of years. He beat Liborio Solis pretty handily, even though Solis gave him a tough out every single round. He won very clearly on the scorecards. Also, recently had that vicious knockout over Anselmo Moreno in their rematch. Carlos Carlson, a pretty solid fighter himself, only one loss with 22 wins. He hasn't been knocked out or anything. That loss came in his first fight. So as we were talking about way earlier, he's a guy that kind of learned from that first early misstep, and he's been on a solid, excellent winning streak ever since. He's a guy that's of a similar height and reach to Yamanaka, so he may pose a pretty difficult fight. But all in all, you pretty much always got to favor Yamanaka over just about anybody he fights at bantamweight and below, just because he's that good. He's really a complete fighter. He's a good boxer, good puncher, good at sticking and moving, good on the inside, good on the outside. Really, one of the better all-around fighters in the sport, and a big part of the reason why he is ranked in the top 10 pound for pound.
I concur.
Exactly. Leon?
What about Beeville?
Oh, did you see it, Dan? I sent you the link.
I did. I watched it.
What did you think?
Of course. I don't know how to assess Beeville. I just have too much of my thought processes are like sexually motivated. So I don't know how to properly assess him as a fighter.
What about that first knockdown, man?
It was nice. Beeville's style is one of the just strangest styles I've ever seen in the sport. Like, if you watch the guy train, it's so hard to wrap your head around how this guy is like a top level fighter, because he just does so many things technically wrong. I don't know, but that's all I got to say. He's a good fighter. I heard the guy that he KO'd was the guy that Alvarez, Idalier, whatever his name is, went the full 12 with.
Yeah.
So I think he's doing pretty well for his 8th or 9th fight. So he's good, man. He's got skills.
Dan, who would you pick with him and Cleverly?
Get the fuck out of here, man.
Would you travel to the UK for that fight?
Hell no. Anything with Cleverly, I'm not gonna fly. I'm not gonna drive 5 miles to watch that bum fight, man.
Even if Biville's involved.
Nah. I mean, I can watch Beeville at the wild card, dude. Come on. I don't need to fly out to the UK to watch him murk Nathan Cleverly.
Clev's got a chin, though.
Yeah, where was it against Kovalev?
Yeah, he forgot it at home that day.
Yeah, right.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Dan. Matt, Leon, Naota, Dan, anything else?
Nah, I'm good.
Bedtime.
Yep. Sleep time. All right. I want to thank you guys for jumping on the show. Matt, it was a pleasure having you on. Naota, Leon.
Yay!
Naota, Leon, Dan. Pleasure as always.
Yep.
Thank you to all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically burn you, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate. You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish. Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you? He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.